Agree on price and possession date.
Better off-season Cards coverage can be found right here. WXOS HD1 East St. Louis, 101 ESPN. It's time to kickstart your morning with Randy Carricker, Brooke Grimsley, and Carrie Davis on the opening drive. Presented by Sumner One.
Good morning and welcome into the opening drive. I am Carrie Davis, joined by Brooke Grimsley. Matthew Rocchio is here. Randy Carricker is not. I don't know what he's doing. You know what? He told us the temperature yesterday and told us it's going to be 70, and 70 in November usually means Randy Carricker is going to find his way to a golf course. So I'm sure he'll end up there at some point today.
That's what he's doing today. 100%. He's probably getting ready bright and early this morning to go hit the golf course. And I don't blame him because this is so weird. This time of year, CD, this type of weather. My sinuses, your sinuses are acting up. My sinuses are acting up. If there's any dramatic shift in the weather from hot to cold, I'm done.
You know what's worse though? The house or the home that you live in, when it goes from extremely cold to extremely hot and you don't know whether to turn the air on or turn the heat on, and you're trying to figure it out, and one day I was just in the house sweating. I'm like, you know what? It's 85 degrees in here, but tomorrow it's going to be 48, so I'm just going to sit it out and hopefully I make it through the night.
Amron has to love these bills that are about to be coming out to people here soon.
I won't do it. I won't give them that feeling of greatness. I'm just going to leave it off and deal with it. We got a great show today. You can check us out on the Air Alliance Team studio cams on YouTube. See Brooke's lovely face. See my lovely face. See Rocc's lovely face when
Our faces are
you can
there.
see it. Show us your face. You can see that. We have Greg Amsinger coming up at 7:30. At 8:15, we'll have Hall of Famer Bernie Federko. At 9:15, we'll have our great friend and the athletic writer, Jeremy Rutherford, joining us. Make sure you get your texts in for Sick of It at 7:15 so we can hear what's bothering you all today. And, Brooke, the Blues have another game tonight, and they play the San Jose Sharks. Puck drops at 6:30 Central Time. Pre-game on 101 ESPN at 8:30. You can check it out. What do you feel, Brooke? How do you feel about this team going into San Jose tonight?
Well, you have to feel good, right? You have to be pretty happy with where the Blues are at right now. Now, I understand the hesitancy because I'm even a little hesitant myself. I want to enjoy the nice thing right now that the Blues are doing well. It seems like they have really come together more as a group. Jordan Bennington even said that in his post-game comments the other night. They're all really clicking together right now. The top six looks a lot more well-balanced with Robert Thomas and Jordan Kyrou being split up. I was telling you guys, I didn't know exactly how to feel about that, if that was going to be a good idea or not. But then I thought the explanation when we were talking yesterday about it just makes a lot of sense. One, when you had that top line with Robert Thomas, Jordan Kyrou, and Pavel Buchnevich, it was really easy for the other defenses, if you're a good defense in the NHL, which, I mean, if you're in the NHL, I hope that you're pretty good at your job. It's easy to identify that line and shut them down. By splitting up Jordan Kyrou and Robert Thomas, you're able to really balance things out. And I think another catalyst with this is that you're starting to see Pavel Buchnevich start to break out more too, but he's not the only one. And I think that's the biggest thing right now is we're seeing a rejuvenated Pavel Buchnevich.
I think he's feeling a lot better. That's usually what a hat trick does. So, he's feeling a lot better. He's looking a lot better, and not that he wasn't looking good earlier, but just more relaxed and calm. And obviously, he's making a ton of great plays right now. So, comes with that confidence.
He does look a lot more confident right now. A happy Pavel Buchnevich is a happy Blues team. We've discussed this even going into the season, that we felt like Pavel Buchnevich could really be a big part of the engine that drives the Blues offense. And when he gets going, it seems like the rest of the guys get going too, because he's just everywhere out there on the ice.
Definitely is, and he's been doing a great job. One of you needed that from him for this team to start going in the right direction. You know, splitting that lineup with what you said with Kyrou, Thomas, and Buchnevich. Everyone has been thriving. Thomas talked about how they've been thriving without the three of them on the same line as well.
Yeah, just different looks. I think Schenner's been playing really well, so he's been getting them a lot of chances, a lot of puck touches in good areas. So just a different look. I mean, depending on matchups who you're playing against, one of us is going to have a different look and some more chances to score. So I think it's worked out really well.
Yeah, just spreading out the love, getting those guys away from each other and allowing them to have different shifts and not be on the same line. I think it's obviously worked well for the Blues, and they're all playing extremely well and at a high level. You're looking at this team, and not only is the offense working, not only is the defense working, but Jordan Bennington has been standing on his head, doing an outstanding job as well. Got a clean sheet, as Randy said yesterday in the last start. So it's been all working together for the St. Louis Blues in the last few games.
Well, and Kerb said it this week that Jordan Bennington wasn't just the key recently in these games, but he's been the key for the Blues this season. Early on, when you look at those first 8 games, the Blues were just 3-4-1, right? And they had just scored 15 goals. Since then, they've won their 5 of their last 6 games with outscoring their opponents 27-12. That takes a lot of pressure off of Jordan Bennington. The block shots that you saw in that last game, nearly 26, or I think it was 26 block shots in that game alone, takes a lot of pressure off. And that was my concern early on this season, is that we were relying a little bit too much on Jordan Bennington. Jordan Bennington couldn't be the one that bailed you out or kept you in every single game, and now that's not the case.
Well, he definitely, last season, we saw how many goals this team gave up, and it felt like after every game you would say, well, Jordan Bennington played well, and you'd ask yourself, well, how the hell is that possible when they gave up 5 goals? But you're looking at a defense in front of them that wasn't doing as good of a job, that wasn't blocking nearly as many shots, and they've really focused on keeping the puck out of the slot, just keeping it around on the point and making sure that those shots are coming from a distance. And now we can block them. We can stand in front of people and make sure that those shots aren't going in. And you talked about this earlier in the season. I thought it was hilarious when you were saying you need parking. There's always parking in front of the Blues net, right?
Yeah,
you can
wide
you can
open
park
space
there
right
for
there.
free. It's not. You're not going to be charged a hefty amount. Just park there and wait for a shot to go. I think they've done a good job of moving people out of the way as well. So all of those things combined is allowing this team to have success.
And I really just think, Colton Federko, he's really showing people, especially he's not Chris Pronger people, that you were wrong. And surprise here, Chris Pronger was right. When we had him in and we asked him about that, he said, he's not me. He doesn't have to be me.
Right.
He covers an insane amount of ice, and there's a reason why him and Bo were so effective in the Stanley Cup run. And we talked about it more with Thomas yesterday on the offensive part about him getting up the ice. But when Colton Federko is healthy and he can cover and skate like he does, he erases. He's Ed freaking Reed.
Yeah.
He erases a complete chunk of the ice for you to do effective things offensively, and that has been a huge part to the Blues being effective. Yes, he's not going to get the points, but there's no doubt in my mind Colton Federko is playing like a top pairing defenseman, legitimately 100% this season.
And then we also saw the offensive side with that pass from Thomas where he scored the goal. And we talked to Thomas yesterday. We talked to Robert Thomas yesterday, and he was talking about how, he passed it to him, didn't think that Federko was going to be able to get to it, but he's like, he's 9 feet, his stick is 9 feet long, so he was able to. Federko made a great play on the puck and made a great goal. So you're not only getting the great defense, you're also getting the great offense, and all of those things. Again, you've seen defensemen playing extremely well.
He got that pass. I was a little far ahead of him. I forgot his stick was 9 feet long, and
that is a big man. And I think that maybe that was sometimes the frustrations from fans, is that people were expecting him to be like Chris Pronger, because obviously Chris Pronger is also a massive human being and very intimidating on the ice. And they're, I think, nearly or about the same height.
Yeah.
But I think Federko really uses his body and his height in a different way, and that's not anything against him.
Right.
I think that you're seeing him, one, as you mentioned, CD, a lot healthier this season.
Yes.
But he also looks like he's not overthinking as much this season. It looked like that was something that was hindering him in the past. It feels like he's not overthinking. He's able to really find the rhythm and flow of the game. Coming out of the defensive zone, he's just a one-man breakout. And you mentioned the offensive spark, not only from Colton Federko this season, but Torrey Krug, his game has really come along this season, too.
It has. They've been playing outstanding. We'll see if they can continue it tonight. In football news, college football news, number 3, Michigan is without a head coach, and there will be a hearing tomorrow to see and decide whether or not Jim Harbaugh will be able to be on the sideline. Heather Dinich had an thought on what could potentially take place.
So on Friday morning, a judge at a court in Ann Arbor will hear arguments about whether or not to issue a restraining order that would nullify the 3-game suspension from the Big Ten on Coach Jim Harbaugh. Harbaugh and Athletic Director Ward Manuel will be there and prepared and ready to speak if need be. The timing of it, it's going to happen on Friday morning, is all unclear as to how it unfolds. So whether or not Manuel and Harbaugh fly here to College Park, Maryland for their game with the team remains to be seen. They could fly privately following the hearing. My understanding is that the judge does not have to issue a decision immediately in court at that moment. So the timing of a resolution still remains to be seen.
Still remains to be seen. What will happen? What will take place? I really felt like the suspension was a slap on the wrist. It wasn't as bad or nearly as harsh as it could have been, because obviously he could have been suspended for the entirety of the year. They could have been fined. He got a ban for just on Saturdays not being allowed to coach, but he's still allowed to coach during the week, which, as we know, that is one of the most critical parts. Game day decisions obviously make a huge difference, but the preparation is what really you want to be a part of and take place in. And so he's able to do that, but unable to coach on Saturday. And we'll see. I think he may get, it may be resolved.
I think something interesting about that is all the legal experts are all saying that the reason the Big Ten did that is because to get the TRO, the temporary restraining order, you have to prove that the punishment is overly harsh.
Yes.
And so the Big Ten went light on him so that they can essentially that 3 games will be upheld, even though it is lighter, and now they have time to maybe work on the details of the investigation without the rest of the Big Ten being extremely pissed off at the Big Ten for not doing anything. I think it's a good medium.
This is a really good point that somebody texted in from the 314. The whole situation is a joke. Discipline him after the season. Why is it that they needed to do something right now and do a full investigation and then do something after the season?
Well, I think because of where they're ranked. Now, if Michigan was ranked 15th in the country, it wouldn't be a big deal. But there are so many people that are frustrated that this team is number 3 in the country. There are only 4 teams that are gonna make the college football playoff, and so one of those teams, Washington, Oregon, Texas, Alabama, or Missouri, that are on the outside looking in, are probably frustrated because why is this team in and they're cheating and they're not playing or going about it in the right way. So I think that's why that everyone is so frustrated. But again, I didn't think that the punishment was I didn't think it was severe, so I didn't think it was that big of a deal. Obviously, you want to be able to coach on Saturdays, but being able to coach and practice with your team throughout the week, it helps with the preparation for game day.
I just think about everything that happened with Mizzou, which they turned themselves in, or they brought up the fact of that an issue or violation happened, and they got a very severe punishment involving a postseason ban. If this is something that is that serious, where we're making such a big deal out of it, don't you feel like a postseason ban is something that maybe possibly should be a part of the conversation? And it feels like by doing it this way, you're just wanting to get this out of the way. Just a quick little 3-game suspension of the head coach, as you mentioned. He's there still during the week, part of the game planning process, just not there on the sidelines during the weekends. It feels like they just want to move quickly past this. And does that have anything to do with the whole possible blackmailing situation of, well, if you do this to us, then we'll expose you?
And that's what I thought. I thought that the punishment was really a way of saying we're going to punish you, but we're not going to punish us. Because if Michigan does indeed have information on other teams doing these same things that they're being accused of, well, then you open Pandora's box, or Aunt box, as we've been told that we call it. And so Aunt Dora's box.
Aunt Dora's box. Yeah, so it made me question everything. I was like, wait a minute, did I say that?
You open Pandora's box, and now everyone is being looked at, and the NCAA doesn't want that. The Big Ten doesn't want that. They don't want, if there are more teams that have done, as Michigan said, has done what they're being accused of, they don't want that information out. So punishing him by suspending him for game days, okay. That's reasonable. You missed the rest of the season, 3 games. Now, I'm certain he wants to be on the sideline for that Ohio State game.
Yeah.
I'm certain of that, so I'm sure that that's why he's having these hearings, trying to get approval to be able to do that. But all in all, regardless, he'll be there if they're still in it for the college football playoffs, and I think that the punishment fits the crime as far as we know right now.
There's still so many layers to this. Connor Stallions, as you guys know, I've been obsessed with waiting for his
he needs a 30 for
documentary to
30.
come out.
Yeah.
He does. And I don't know if you guys saw the report that came out that he also, I guess, did not file any expense reports during the 17 months that he was formally employed by Michigan, according to the school. So what would that mean? See, it feels like there's a lot of secretive things going on there.
It is. I'm sure we will get more information as we go along, and Michigan will be fighting their butts off to get their coach back on the sideline. That's Brooke. I'm Kerry. Time check is 7:14. Time check is brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Coming up next, we got Sick of It. Get your text in to the Air Comfort Service text line, 314-399-9646. That's 314-399.
Yo-ho!
Sick of It is next.
The Blues play on ESPN.
Drive. Brooke Grimsley here alongside Super Bowl champ Kerry Davis. No Randy Carricker today. He is enjoying the sunshine that will be out there. 70 degrees, CD. 70 degrees in November.
Nice to be outside.
Do you have on Instagram? It shows you memories from that day. So yesterday, I just wanted to see what I was doing yesterday around 4 years ago. It was snowing here in St. Louis,
Really?
CD.
Wow.
It was snowing in November. That's not a crazy thought.
I must not take enough pictures on Instagram.
To use
I never
Instagram
have
stories.
memories. Yeah,
no,
nah.
I'll show you how to use it so you can go back and see
Please,
those
I
beautiful
have
memories.
No clue how any of this works.
I'll give you a rundown of it. Well, now it is time for Sick of It. So get your text in to the Air Comfort Service text line. That is 314-399-9646, 314-399-YOHO. And tell us what you're sick of today. CD, what are you sick of?
All right, so this is a topic that we have every year around this time. So, the holidays are a beautiful time. I mean, fall gets here and then winter comes. You start to see the leaves fall and the weather changing, usually, not this year. But the thing that I am sick of, and I am absolutely sick of it, you don't go from Halloween to Christmas. It is a whole holiday in between those holidays. That there is another day that people celebrate. You don't just start putting up Christmas time themes around your house. Now, my neighbor, who I think is an awesome guy, he has a huge Santa Claus outside of his house.
Already?
Yeah, I mean, he does all of the decorations for Halloween.
Yeah.
Obviously not Thanksgiving because we just skipped past it, but Halloween. And now he has a huge Christmas theme outside of his home. It's beautiful. He has his Christmas lights up already, but I personally feel that you should wait until after Thanksgiving. That's just me.
I agree with you. I don't know why this is a controversial topic, because even if you go around the stores, there's already been Christmas stuff out with the Halloween stuff. Have you noticed that? It feels like we really are just skipping ahead to December when there is a beautiful...
What month is this?
This is November, I think. I think
still got about 14 days left in this month, don't we?
Yeah, feels about like
2
July.
weeks.
Yeah, I know.
What are we doing?
Enjoy it, because Thanksgiving is one of the best holidays out there. And personally, maybe this is just how I was raised, but I always enjoyed after Thanksgiving, then since you have all the family together, you kind of rope each other into helping with starting the Christmas decorations. So I just think it's a very beautiful transition into the Christmas time, celebrating family, because that's what it's all about, right?
Yes.
That with holidays. Now I have something kind of controversial to say. I think it's just about as bad. I'm a person who I have to have, if it's a breakfast food, I have to have it at breakfast time. I can't have it at dinner time.
We
can't have it at lunch.
disagree with
so
that.
I have to. I'm saying there's an order of events. That's where I'm getting at with this.
Oh no, Brookie. Okay, go
There's
ahead.
an order of events. So that's what it feels like to me, is that you can't just skip ahead to certain things.
Now,
you can't move things around.
We're going to disagree because you grew up where?
In Tennessee.
In Tennessee.
Yeah.
Does Tennessee not have any Waffle Houses?
They do.
What time does Waffle House usually get popping?
Well,
2 a.m.
Technically, that could be your breakfast.
But it's not breakfast because you haven't gone to sleep yet.
Carrie, the real thing is you walk into a Waffle House at 5 p.m. Are they going to tell you no when I order smothered and covered hash browns?
No.
Damn right, because this is America.
They're going to tell you you can get whatever you like.
This is America.
Somebody already...
Waffle House.
Liberty. Waffle House.
Somebody said, I'm already sick of people saying certain food is for a certain time.
Yes.
Let me have pasta for breakfast.
Nah, you
now,
might
CD,
be a menace.
hey, no,
You
you're
might be a
agreeing with
menace.
this.
No,
you're agreeing with this. I'm letting you know this is what you're agreeing with.
That's a carbo load to start the day. Maybe he goes running.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe not.
Every
You know how
once in a
heavy
while.
that is.
I just like to have breakfast for breakfast, pancakes for breakfast, all those certain
But
things.
what about, you're telling me you've never had Brenner in your entire life?
Probably.
I
I can see Brookie having Brenner.
I know you
have to have
went to
Brenner.
Middle Tennessee
It's
State.
really-
You did.
You have
you
to
went to
have
college.
Brenner.
You had to have a night where
CD,
you were
I'm
out
telling
at
you,
the bars.
I was probably one of the lamest people in college because I was
no.
always working. I was always, just doing school stuff. I really
never
was not
once
that fun.
Eaten a pancake with maple syrup while the sun is down.
As you can see, my shirt today,
Are
Illinois.
you?
Yeah.
This is a glorious place called Mary Ann's that was frequented. It was 24 hours. You go there at 2 a.m.
Now,
You're good to go.
here's the thing. There's a difference between, of course, there's probably times in my life I have done it. I just have a preference of doing things. Same thing with I have to have the order of the holidays go in the order that they should be in. So then you have Thanksgiving, you have Christmas, and you celebrate accordingly and get things ready for that. CD is so upset with me right now. I'm sorry to disappoint
just
you.
disappointed.
I'm
It's
so
okay.
sorry.
I'm
okay.
distraught.
I'm
right now.
so sorry.
Brenner is. Oh my God. Hash
Sorry
browns
to
at night.
disappoint.
Hash browns at night are
It's not something we did at our house that
a
much.
biscuit at 6 p.m.
Pancakes at 7 p.m.
A waffle? A big Belgian waffle?
Come on.
I don't know.
Come on.
Well, guys, now I'm going to kind of divert attention away from what I just said there. So this is what I am sick of. I am starting to get really tired of Major League Baseball free agency. The rumor mill specifically, guys. Really nothing new or exciting has happened just yet. And oh, by the way, shocking news. The teams that always spend a lot of money, now this might be shocking, are going to go out and reportedly get the pitcher that everybody wants. Is going to be really expensive. It might sound crazy. It might sound really wild. but I'm just really tired of the rumor mills. I think it's very obvious that teams like the Mets, the Yankees, and the Dodgers are going to go out and spend some crazy money and go get the best pitchers available that are in that top tier. We all know what's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
I'm just ready for some moves to be made, and maybe this is just me being really anxious about where the Cardinals will fit into this conversation of spending and if they will be competing with any of these teams. But I am just tired of seeing these teams going out and spending a lot of money and getting the things that they want. I just want to be a part of the pie.
Yeah, I think I'm along the lines of that. I'm sick of Cardinal fans assuming that we're the only team that needs pitching this offseason. Because we ain't.
No.
And that means that the Cardinals are going to have to spend money or they're going to miss out on nice things.
Yes.
That's just how it goes, man. It's real life. And if there are multiple teams vying for a few pitchers, a few jobs available, then you're going to have to come with some dollars.
If I was a GM, which nobody would ever make me the GM of their Major League Baseball team, but just say theoretically, I would be a menace. I would just throw my name. I'd be like, yeah, we're in conversations with Shohei, Aaron Nola, and then their agents would be like, are we? I'd be like, yeah, I texted you about it. Now go put that report out there. Look at me doing all this work.
Oh, man.
All right, Rocc, what do we have on the text line?
I'm sick of all the Kansas City Chiefs haters here in St. Louis. The Rams left, and we are now Chiefs country. Get over it. That's going to be controversial.
I don't think so.
That's not going to go over well.
I don't think that that's true. I don't think that you just become Kansas City Chiefs fans. You know, they got a good team, but if you grew up not liking the Kansas City Chiefs, why would you all of a sudden just become a fan of them? Be kind of difficult.
Yeah, I do understand, though, if you have that love for the NFL and you just want to find some team in close proximity, I get that because the Chiefs are exciting.
They are. And
Patrick Mahomes
they
is
are
fun to cheer
champions.
for.
They got a great quarterback.
Taylor Swift's boyfriend is very exciting.
Brooke, don't do that. His name is Travis.
Sick of Yo-Ho and, of course, the weak back joke signed Grumpy in the STL.
Oh,
Well,
that is
Grumpy?
very grumpy.
We're sorry to let you know it's going to continue.
Oh,
Take a long walk.
by the
Yeah,
way, if
I'll
you
for
want to
sure beer.
keep getting in your
just
sick
kidding.
of it, you can text into the Air Comfort Service text line. That is 314-399-9646, 314-399. Yo-ho. Another one for
Here
you,
we go.
Grumpy.
This is the exact. I knew it. I hadn't even read that first text about the Chiefs when we got this text. This was already in the inbox. Sick of it. Despite this being a St. Louis radio station, how much mentioning of the Kansas City Chiefs occur? Are you all going to give us Chicago Blackhawk updates next? That's how I imagine he texted it in.
Just angered.
Connor Bedard's killing it. Kind of sucks, but
kinda good.
sorry to tell you.
Yeah, well, you know, we are in St. Louis and we don't have a football team, so we talk about all football teams, and generally we speak of the good football teams, which I don't know, Rocc, how many championships have the Kansas City Chiefs won over the last few years?
2.
Okay, so I think they're pretty good.
Yeah.
I think you should talk about them.
I don't think you could necessarily gatekeep a team either, because I keep seeing people text in too, like only bandwagon fans. Can you gatekeep a team and keep out the fans that are coming in and out of it? I think if you want to be a fan of something, you should be allowed to be a fan of it.
Fans are
Not new to sports, but I'm just saying, like the people who want to gatekeep.
It's weird. It's always going to be weird. It always has been weird. I'm sure. Again, we talked about this the other day on the show. Where did fans go when the Cardinals left St. Louis? Carey was talking about how a lot of his friends, and my dad talks about his friends. They became 49ers fans because you just couldn't not enjoy watching Joe Montana play football.
There you go.
And Randy talks about how the Steelers became a huge contingent and things like, and different teams that became huge contingents in St. Louis. It's not your team leaves. You're a football fan. What do you expect people to do? Most people were casual enough Rams fans that they hadn't built like a fandom in another sport outside of St. Louis, like weirdos like I already had. So I had things to fall back on. I don't know why people would hold it against it. By the way, I think that Texas is going to get mad when Ohtani signs with the Cubs and we mention it.
Oh man.
They're going to get real
gracious.
mad.
Sick of it. 9:30 puck drops. What are we doing here?
Now, in fairness,
Playing on the West Coast.
Yeah, but I'm with you, brother, sister. That 9:30 Central Time.
4-hour show tomorrow. Kerry.
No, what? What is tomorrow? What are we doing here? Who decided this? When do these decisions get made without me being here? What the hell are you talking about? 4 hours tomorrow.
Usually between the hours of
Is that
noon.
what you want to be sick of now? That could be, you can change it real
Kerry,
quick.
I'm just going to let you know. Usually between the hours of noon and 2 p.m. are when these decisions are made.
What in the world is going on? Come on.
Oh my gosh. I know. We should be a part of those conversations. All right. Well, thank you guys for getting your texts into the Air Comfort Service text line. Coming up next, we're going to go to the celebrity line to talk to Greg Amsinger about the latest Major League Baseball news. That's coming up next here on the Opening Drive.
This is Rocc with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. After an off day yesterday for the St. Louis Blues, they're back in action, but you're going to have to wait a little bit longer than usual because they are on the West Coast and it's a late game tonight. They are in San Jose to face off against the Sharks. It's going to be a 9:30 p.m. puck drop here in the Central Time Zone. That means you can catch our pregame show right here on 101 ESPN starting at 8:30 p.m. Also in local action today, St. Louis is at the Myrtle Beach Invitational. They face off against Wyoming. That's a 1 p.m. tip-off today. You can find that on ESPN2. And coming up tonight, Missouri basketball in action in Minnesota, facing off against the Golden Gophers. That's an 8 p.m. tip-off on the Big Ten Network. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff. Find your road and shop 24/7 at londoff.com and londoffautoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
Welcome back to the Opening Drive. I am Kerry Davis, joined by Brooke Grimsley, and we go to the celebrity line and speak with our great friend, lead anchor for MLB Network, Greg Amsinger. Greg, good morning, sir. How are you doing?
I got one more day left, Kerry, of awards week.
Okay.
I've fought through the manager of the year, the rookie of the year. Last night was Cy Young, and I woke up last night in chills because one of the most tense moments of all time took place yesterday during the Cy Young show. A crisis was averted, in case you're wondering. Garrett Cole was sitting in his agent's office waiting to hear his name called. Sitting right next to him was his lovely wife, Amy, that they started dating at UCLA. Amazing human being. I've met her many times. She's sitting next to him, and he wins the award, and they're hugging, and it's a wonderful moment. And Pedro Martinez, who asked all the really great questions, Pedro goes, Garrett, when you get this award at the New York Writers' Dinner, when they hand you the award, who in your life do you want right next to you? And Garrett goes, and you see, like, in his eyes, all the people that he's met, all the coaches, all the teammates, and all of us are starting to immediately sweat. And I'm going, there's only one answer. Please, please. And his wife is staring at him like you could just, the flames were going through his skull. And he goes, I guess Amy, because she's been with, I go, thank God. I'm like, that was the right answer, Garrett. You nailed it. It was the right answer. And just to imagine what would have happened if you would have said anything but Amy would have been a nightmare.
Even the I guess, though, might stir up some controversy. I don't know.
Yeah, no, you're right. I honestly don't think they talked for 10 minutes on the way home.
Oh, no. Well, at least
silent treatment because of the pause.
Man.
It will be an ongoing conversation. Well, Greg, as you mentioned, some awards given out that you've been a part of the past few days. Blake Snell being honored with his second Cy Young Award after leading the league in ERA and was in the top 5 amongst pitchers in total strikeouts this past regular season. The Cardinals and John Mozeliak mentioned that they will be really valuing pitchers with swing and miss stuff more than they have had previously. If that is an emphasis now for the Cardinals moving forward, do they make Blake Snell a priority during this offseason when they're looking at free agent pitchers?
I would say yes, and the reason is I followed the clues, okay? When you think of left-handed pitchers, for some reason, the guys that figure it out after the age of 30 have staying power. I'm thinking about my friend Al Leiter, Kenny Rogers, Jamie Moyer, Rich Hill, but more specifically, pitchers that win their second Cy Young at age 30 or older, okay, which is what Blake Snell did. He's 30 years old. There are only 3 other left-handers that have ever done that, win a second Cy Young at age 30 or older. Tom Glavine did it. After that second Cy Young, he finished second in the Cy Young another season, had 4 All-Star seasons, and he pitched until he was in his early 40s. Randy Johnson did it, and he won 3 more Cy Youngs after that and had 4 more All-Star appearances. And then Steve Carlton did that. He had 2 more Cy Youngs, 4 more All-Star appearances. So that's it. Those are the only other left-handers to do what Blake Snell did, which was win a second Cy Young at age 30 or older. I like the idea of swing and miss. I've been saying it for a long time, since 2010 or 11. If you want to win the World Series, you can't let the other team put the ball in play. You got to have the ability to strike people out in October. And Blake Snell does that well. The only thing that scares teams away is, and this is being talked about in the industry, is Blake Snell being extremely candid about who he is as a pitcher. And he's not going to try to change anymore. And I love that. But if you're trying to construct a roster, you might think to yourself, Blake Snell is not afraid of walking anyone anymore. And that's why he had such a meteoric rise. He walked more players than anybody in the National League, but his swing and miss stuff means, well, I'm not going to give in on 3 balls and 1 strike to you. I can strike the next guy out. In his mind, he's ahead in the count when the batter steps into the batter's box. And he actually is, technically. You need 4 balls to walk a guy, only 3 strikes to get him out. So he technically is as he walks into the batter's box. The problem is, as you age, your stuff diminishes. If you don't have command and you're okay not having it, are you still going to be able to strike your way out of a bases-loaded one-out situation when you're 35, 36, 37 years old, the end of whatever contract he's going to get? That will be the red flag, and that will be what certain teams question. But to me, it might be worth the first 3 or 4 years of a contract to get this guy to help you get over the top and win the World Series.
Greg, a report came out recently that the Braves could be looking at Aaron Nola. We already know all of the other teams that are looking for pitching: Dodgers, Braves, maybe the Mets, the Phillies. You got a lot of teams that spend a lot of money. Does that make it more difficult for the St. Louis Cardinals to actually get one of these high-priority free agent pitchers this offseason?
You could throw the Boston Red Sox in there, too, who just hired a pitcher to be their GM. So he knows clearly how important it is. You have big markets wanting a pitcher right now. I don't think this free agent class is like over-the-top jaw-dropping like we've seen in other years. But because the demand is so high, all of these guys are going to get paid. Yamamoto is going to get $240 to $250 million. I mean, that's just the way it is. He's the number one guy out there on the market. Dodgers are honing in on him. I think Aaron Nola is going to get what he wants, which is over $200 million. There's just too many people that want his services, and he gives the exact sort of opposite talents that Blake Snell provides. Blake Snell, any oddball year, could be the best pitcher in baseball with a 2.2 ERA. He might throw a 4.8 ERA up the next year. You kind of never know. Whereas Aaron Nola gives you innings consistency. He will come out and perform and give you over 200 innings. It's a hard thing to find in today's game and give you a chance to win every single night. So his stuff and his pitchability makes front office executives at ease. He can manipulate the baseball. He can run it in on a right-hander away from a left-hander. For a right-hander, that's a tough thing to do. He's got a lot of Maddox-esque type of stuff. I interviewed Greg Maddox yesterday as he made the announcement on the Cy Young show. And in those years where he won 4 straight Cy Youngs, his last year with the Cubs, first 3 with the Braves, his average K per 9 was only 7. And 3 of those years was under 7. But his average was 7 K per 9. And I asked him if we overemphasize strikeouts today. And he said, absolutely. Guys that can pitch and get people out, it doesn't matter how you get them out. That's coming from one of the greatest pitchers of all time. I think Aaron Nola subscribes to that. We are enamored with swing and miss. I think you need it. I specifically think you need it in the back end of your bullpen. Okay, but it'd be great to have your top 2 guys strike people out. Aaron Nola is like a glue guy in a rotation that I think Charlie Morton with the Atlanta Braves the last couple of years. The Braves needed Charlie Morton to be a stalwart in their rotation. I think that's what Aaron Nola is going to provide to whatever team gets him. If you're a fan of the Cardinals, you should be rooting for Nola to be wearing the birds on the chest.
Greg, there's a report out by the New York Post that supposedly Jordan Montgomery wants to return to a team that he has played for before. That would be Texas, St. Louis, obviously here, or in New York. Do you see that as a likelihood for Jordan Montgomery?
Yes, actually, I really do. When he was traded to the St. Louis Cardinals for Harrison Bader, the Yankee clubhouse was very upset. He was wildly popular among Yankees players. And if there's one thing I'm starting to notice, and you see the connection to the new hitting coach, to Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge has got a lot of say with what goes on with the Yankees. And I think Brian Cashman is separating himself in a way from his analytics team, and he's kind of hanging out with the rock stars a bit more and asking what they want him to do. And Aaron Judge's voice is going to be heard in more ways than people think. And I know Judge is a huge fan of Jordan Montgomery. He loved the way he competed. Anybody that's a position player enjoys playing behind Jordan Montgomery. He's fearless. He doesn't overpower anyone, but he manipulates the baseball and he can expose bad swing holes in left-handed hitters. Like he's like a lefty specialist, but he obviously can still get righties out. I think he falls into the Aaron Nola category. All he's ever been is a pitcher in winning environments. I know last year the Cardinals were a last-place team, but the expectations in St. Louis are at the same level as they are in New York, and then what you saw him do in Arlington. So he's used to being in a winning environment. I think he wants to be in one. I don't think he wants to be part of a rebuild. I don't think he'd be interested in the Cincinnati Reds. If the Reds were, hey, we want to give you a ton of money, or the Chicago Cubs, because who knows who the Cubs are going to be next year. So I think Montgomery will pick between the 3 clubs that are all looking for starting pitching, and don't overlook the Texas Rangers in all this. I think if the Rangers know they're not going to get Ohtani, you're going to see them spend even more than what they've done in previous years. They want to win it again.
Greg, I know you heard the comments. You spoke about Brian Cashman. I know you heard the comments that he had about Giancarlo Stanton. What did you think about that? And will that have an impact on any free agents, as Stanton's agent said it could?
I'm gonna be honest. I think Brian Cashman stole my line from last offseason. I was hosting the top 100 players right now, and I got into an argument with Bill Ripken, as we usually do when we work together. And we were doing the top 100 right now, and Yandy Diaz, who, if you go back, not this past year, but 2022, had 9 home runs. But our research team, which is like a NASA group, they're all analytics driven. They value the players the way front offices value players. Had Yandy Diaz number 99 on the top 100 players right now, and Giancarlo Stanton was number 100. Very polarizing to put a $300 million player at number 100. He barely squeezed in. Yandy Diaz had 9 home runs and was ahead of him. And my cohorts did not think that was right. And I go, wait a minute. Yandy Diaz played. He played multiple positions, and he played. Giancarlo Stanton going forward, it's a guarantee that he's going to miss at least 50 games. At least 50. He's the modern day Mark Teixeira for the New York Yankees. When he plays, you're going to get some production. You never know. He's one of those guys who can get hot and carry a team. He's an aircraft carrier in a way. But he's going to have mechanical problems. This stuff's going to go wrong. And there's nothing wrong with a GM being candid. Brian Cashman has to deal with more media than most of the GMs. You know what? I'll say this. Brian Cashman deals with the same amount of questions from media as general managers of the bottom 15 markets in baseball combined. That is how inundated with media requests Brian Cashman is. So if he's getting older and is a bit more, loose with the lips, it makes a lot of sense because he's been dealing with these questions left and right. If he's a bit fed up with this ongoing issue of Giancarlo Stanton, he has every right to be. Took on a huge contract, and it hasn't worked out. So I like the open candor. What's wrong with that? Giancarlo needs to stay on the field if he doesn't want his GM saying that about him.
Well, Greg, thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to hearing from you next week, and we'll be talking soon.
All right, tune in tonight, the big MVP show. I know I'm not going to be breaking any news. We all know who's going to win. But let's look at it as an hour-long celebration, and I'm wearing a nice suit. I'm wearing a nice suit and an hour-long celebration. I'll see you tonight.
Sounds good. See you then. That was Greg Amsinger joining us, and Greg is always awesome. We love having him. He is.
I love that Garrett Cole story.
Oh, man.
That's going to be
that was probably a stressful situation until he realized. But here's the thing. This is the problem, man. We got to break. But women, we don't think. The question was asked. And
she's sitting right beside him. See?
In his brain, he's thinking of all of the coaches, as Greg said, all of the teammates, his mom and dad that took him to Little League games when he was a child. Like, who do I want next to me in this moment that is, you're already here.
The woman that's already next to him. That's the easy answer.
Greg put it perfectly, though. The ride home 100% was 10 minutes of silence, and then she turned to him and just goes, I guess?
You know that's what happened.
That's 100% what happened.
Get your text in to the air cover service. Get your text in to the air cover service.
Sure.
Thanks, Brian.
She's here right now.
314-399-9646. 314-399.
Yo-ho.
Take it or leave it is next.
don't, send it right back.
Get your text into 314-399-9646 and give us your take it or leave it.
Brought to you by Gloria Lou Realty. Visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com and start packing.
That's my final offer. Take it or leave it.
Welcome back to the opening drive. I'm Kerry Davis, joined by Brooke Grimsley and some interesting food takes. And it is time for Take It or Leave It.
No, leave the food takes behind.
Turntables turn.
Rocc, you're like loving this moment.
We will come back to this.
Does the look on my face not convey that enough?
Food, take it or leave it. Breakfast is any time of the day, Brooke. You're going to leave that clearly. Yes.
Breakfast.
We're gonna get Brooke to eat some Waffle House at 2:00 in the morning. Actually at 10 o'clock at night.
I'm sure that I've done it a couple
go.
times in my life, but it's not something I enjoy. That's the difference. I like to have my breakfast during breakfast time.
That's intriguing.
Yes.
The potatoes.
So quick question. Wait,
No.
I got this. May I?
I don't want any
Please, one.
food questions
Can I have
from you.
One, please.
Okay?
Can I get one?
Go ahead. I'm
Sure.
intrigued now.
So how do you deal with bacon?
How do I deal with bacon?
Like, does it have to be on a sandwich?
I'm not a big bacon
after?
person, anyways.
Oh, goodness
but I would.
You ruined it for him.
I would have it for breakfast, and then if you want to have a BLT for lunch, then that's a lunch.
And you can
item.
put it on your burger
Yes.
as well if you want a bacon cheeseburger.
Sure,
Okay.
yes.
All right. Just wondering.
It's a lunch item then. It has
All right.
transformed into a lunch item.
Just lunch, breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Rocc,
Yeah.
you don't toast your Pop-Tarts. I don't want to hear anything from you.
All right, so we were talking
have
to
a
Greg.
reason.
We don't. I don't think that's a great reason. We were talking to Greg Amsinger, and I asked him about the Cardinals playing in deep waters with some of these starting pitchers. Take it or leave it, they will not be able to get some of those top-tier pitchers, talking obviously Shohei, Nola, Snell, Yamamoto, because their other teams that are in need of pitchers will be spending a little bit more.
In that top tier specifically, with those names that you mentioned, I might leave it because now I'm starting to get a little bit more intrigued by Blake Snell and that being a possibility for the Cardinals, but they would have to spend the money in order to get Blake Snell. If you say that you want to have more swing and miss, they can't. That's something that if that hasn't been a priority for the organization, that's going to take a while to build within your organization. So you're going to have to go out and spend money to get it. Why not do it this offseason in free agency?
I agree, but I don't know if that number starts running up if we're going to be willing to
suspend it.
Yeah,
Yes,
there you go.
and I get that. I totally do get that. Take it or leave it. We also talked about something else a little bit controversial earlier. The Chiefs fans and the St. Louis Chiefs fans. There's a big hatred there. Take it or leave that.
Oh yeah, I mean, St. Louis and Kansas City is that it's more them than us. They have an issue with us. I don't know why. It just feels that way. You know, it is what it is. It's not a problem, but there is some I guess disagreements amongst Kansas City fans and St. Louis fans.
I definitely have noticed that, especially moving here. I've noticed the rivalry that really has built up amongst the cities, and I get it. I think with the Chiefs, I understand if you have sworn off the NFL here in St. Louis. Totally understand. After everything that happened with Stan Kroenke, the way that the NFL handled that, the way that the other NFL owners handled that was really disgusting. I totally understand that. But I also understand that especially with a new younger generation coming in, you see an exciting quarterback like Patrick Mahomes and wanting to at least cheer for that. But I like the rivalry between St. Louis and Kansas City.
Yeah.
It makes things fun and interesting.
You're beating up on your little brother. What you got, Rocc?
Texans are in a weird mood today.
What do we do?
Okay. Take it or leave it. The Cardinals signed Tyler Glasnow and Sonny Gray, and then they trade for Alec Manor to start out their offseason. I like it.
Wait, can you repeat the question
Alex
again?
Manoah, I guess he's trying to say?
I was good. That's what I thought
Alec
you meant.
Manor, I'm trying to
Yeah,
think.
repeat the question.
He's saying Cardinals signed Tyler Glasnow, Sonny Gray, and trade for Alex Manoah.
Ooh, I
speech to
want
text
to
got
take
us on that
that
one.
one. I want to take that one because I think that would be.
Is that sufficient?
I think that if you're worried about spending money, I think that maybe that will be sufficient enough. With Tyler Glass now, the injuries are a big concern, but he does
I
have
don't wanna be rude.
stuff. Okay, go ahead.
I
No, go ahead.
No, I mean, there was a movie about a guy named Mr. Glass. It's kind of in his name.
Gary, I almost said Randy because that is something that Randy would say. 100%.
I'm just saying.
Start talking about Lakers basketball?
No, not that Mr. Glass.
Oh, sorry.
no.
My bad.
Yeah, that one it's horrible to watch him play. It's tough, man.
I think Manoah is very intriguing. I think that could be considered a successful offseason, especially if you're not going to go out and spend a lot of money and get two of those top tier starting pitchers, which is highly unlikely that they're going to be able to do that. So if you get a Sonny Gray and then you bring in a Tyler Glass now, you wouldn't have to give up possibly a Nolan Gorman in that trade. And it would be
volume.
1 year.
What are you giving up for Glass now? And the problem is not enough innings. Like if someone, this is my
Innings
thing.
eaters?
When you are who you are, and at some point, assuming that they're going to change because they're in a different place. This is a person that is the most innings he's pitched is 120, and that was this
year.
past season.
A 30-year-old whose career high is 120.
That's not a person that is going to give you. He's been often. If you're often injured and you often miss time, that's essentially who you are. And so therefore, that's not someone that I would be eager for the Cardinals to sign. Because if he has a great year, you're like, oh yeah, see, we told you. But if he has and does what he normally does, who are you mad at? You can't be mad at him for being who he is and what he is.
Yeah.
And what he has been. I wouldn't assume that it's going to change because he's in St. Louis.
Just rereading this, also, by the way, Glass now, you would have to make a trade for him. Sonny Gray, obviously, you would have to go out and spend money. And for Manoah, would he require a trade? Yes, I believe so, yes. And so, just to
What are you
correct
trading?
that.
Who are you trading?
Here's the thing. There's a plethora of bats available that the Cardinals have. How many outfielders do they have right now? A plethora of them. Why not move some of these guys?
Do they really?
They do. 3
of them are hurt. Well, 2 of them often. So do they have a plethora?
There's a lot of
that's
them.
all. Again, that's the same thing as Tyler Glass now. He's injured. Tyler O'Neill, he's often injured. Other teams know that.
I think that
it's
teams
not like
will,
it's not like we get to hide the injury report and put it under all of the files and nobody knows that these people are often injured. No, they know it too.
I think teams would see the value in a Dylan Carlson. They would see the value possibly in a Tyler O'Neill with a different situation. And either way, I don't think Tyler O'Neill is staying here. Why not see if you can put him a part of some sort of package? And then you also have Tommy Edman, that situation. If you're going to bring Victor Scott up next year and you're already discussing that he could be the center fielder of the future for the Cardinals, where does that leave Tommy Edman in this situation? There's a lot of different pieces that they need to navigate and move around. And why not?
I agree. We will see. We'll see what the Cardinals end up doing. That's Brooke. I'm Kerry. Coming up next, could the Cardinals be left out of a dance partner with this pitching and the supply and demand? We'll talk about it next on the Opening Drive.
perspective on the day's top stories. It's the Opening Drive's Fresh Take.
I think that there are about 8 teams looking for multiple starting pitchers. We've never seen this before. So these pitchers are in a very, very good situation. I believe the Cardinals, the Mets, the Dodgers, the Angels, the Pirates, the Cubs, and the Giants. I think there are 8 teams that really would like to get multiple starting pitchers. The Mets, I know, would like one top of the rotation guy, one kind of mid-rotation depth piece. St. Louis obviously needs pitching. You got Montgomery, you have Nola, Gray, Erod, and then just below them, Giolito, Flaherty, Stroman. Lugo had a great year with the Padres. So there is really good pitching out there, but the need really, really outstrips the supply at this point.
That was baseball insider Jon Heyman on MLB Network discussing the need for pitching. All the teams need pitching right now, especially starting pitching. And there's an article right now on The Athletic by Chad Jennings, and the headline is Pitching Market Supply and Demand. Which teams will be left standing when the music stops? Carrie, there's going to be a lot of teams left standing without a dance partner who are in the market for starting pitching. And they break this down in many different ways. But the biggest thing that Chad points out in this article is something that I think that we all were very aware of is happening. They're very light on hitters this offseason when it comes to free agency, but there is a heavy need on pitching. And he kind of broke it down into the tiers of the pitchers that are available. It was the names that you would think of in that top tier being Blake Snell and Aaron Nola and Yamamoto, the big names, the ones that we know are going to get paid a lot of money. And then he also broke it down to the teams who are contending. And he even has John Mozeliak quoted in this article where he said, I think our checklist is probably starter, then see what we look like. Is there any concern that the Cardinals will be left without a dance partner? Now, will they get a dance partner? Yes. But is this going to be the dance partner that you had at the top of your dance card?
No. It was 2 things that I heard. And one thing I heard and one thing that I've read. Jon Heyman said that 8 teams looking for top-tier pitching. That scares the hell out of me. If you're the St. Louis Cardinals and you're a Cardinal fan, that should scare you as well. But in this article, there's another quote from Mozeliak where he says, I think we'll be able to add 2 starters, but they're not all going to be like the guy. That's going to be hard. The upper tier of this market is going to be uber competitive. That's your answer. Search no further. Don't look in what you're being told is if one of these teams that have a high dollar amount are willing to go above and beyond for one of these uber competitive pitchers, and they are trying to sign an Aaron Nola, a Yamamoto, a Shohei Ohtani, if they are trying, Blake Snell, if they are playing in those waters, this is telling you the Cardinals probably aren't going to be in those waters. I personally have felt and still feel that the best way for the Cardinals to get these 2.5 starters would be via trade for one and free agency for the other. Go out and spend money on one of these guys. Go ahead. Just one. Don't try to get 2 because you're probably not going to be able to. Mm-hmm. But go spend money on one of them, and then you have to trade for the other one. And I don't think that trade looks like Tyler Glass now. It has always looked like Dylan Cease for me if he's available. That's my thought. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with a Blake Snell and a Dylan Cease via trade. I'm okay with an Aaron Nola and a Dylan Cease via trade. That's the route that the Cardinals are going to have to go. You're going to have to spend money if you want one of these top-tier pitchers. If you're in the second tier, which is the Jordan Montgomerys of the world or Sonny Gray, Eduardo Rodriguez, Marcus Stroman, if that's the route you want to go, are any of those guys a 1 for this team probably, but are they ones in the league? And that's where you have to compare yourself. You just can't compare yourself internally. You have to look externally and see what's going on and who you're going against. And so for me, if the Cardinals are looking for that top-tier pitcher, go get one, go trade for another one, and see what they can do.
And I agree with you. I mean, it's very easy to see right now what is happening in the Cardinals in the situation they're in because there's so many other teams with the bank account to really spend this money and go out and get these top-tier starting pitchers. And so in this article, they have the tier 1 being Aaron Nola, and this is just a projection of what they believe he will get. 6 years, $180 million. I think it could be even more than that, honestly.
Probably around 200.
Yeah, Yamamoto, 7 years, $203 million. Hasn't pitched in Major League Baseball yet. Obviously, very successful in Japan, but he is 25 years old. I think that's why that number is so high. There could be a great value. Also, a lot of questions of what exactly he'll look like when he gets here. Blake Snell, also in that top tier. Would you do this? 5 years, $135 million.
I mean, you know what you're getting. You're going to get a guy that, as Greg said, he's going to try to strike guys out, but he's also not afraid to walk them. So you know what you're getting. You know that he's going to go 5, maybe 6 innings. And now what does that do to your bullpen? We've seen that last year. We saw enough of that last year. So if you get a Blake Snell, understand that, yeah, we're going to try to go trade for another pitcher, hopefully. But we also have to get this bullpen corrected and make sure we have flexibility, because that was one thing they didn't have, the ability to send guys up and down, but also guys that perform at a high level when the moment is required. And so if you go get a Blake Snell, you know that you have to bolster up that bullpen as well, which is something they should already be doing anyways.
That's what they have to do,
Yeah.
because the bullpen was also a big issue last season. It's just I was hoping and expecting that this offseason would be a little bit different when it came to spending and their offseason approach. And it feels like we're just going back to what we have seen over and over again over the years. And if you're going to do the same thing over and over again, do you really expect different results during the regular season? It's hard to. It really is hard to. I just thought that with this season, I don't believe that it was a fluke. I know that we had the World Baseball Classic, and yes, I'm taking that into somewhat of an account on the Cardinals, and I know that they mentioned that possibly being an issue for their slow start, but I think there was so much more at play that they didn't fully address, and now you're going to be left in this situation, two situations they don't like to be in, CD, right? Spending money in free agency, which we've seen their free agency track record and how that hasn't exactly panned out over the years, and a situation where you're going to have to make a trade, which we also have seen and how that has panned out, where the player maybe that you trade will go on and be a superstar.
The fear for me is when you see the president of baseball operations saying, yeah, this market is going to be uber competitive. Yeah, that's how sports go. That's how baseball go. It's going to be competitive. So at some point, you're going to have to, you talk about it all the time, a puke point, right? Whether that's trading someone that makes you really want to throw up or spending an amount of money that makes you want to throw up. Do you want to be better or not? And in my years of sports, watching them, playing them, professional, collegiate, high school, every level, the only way to get better is to have better players. You can coach guys up to the maximum of their ability. You can be the best coach with all the best X's and O's, but if they got a few guys on the other side and you don't got them guys, eventually it ain't going to work. Now, you play them 10 times, maybe you get them once, maybe twice. But 80% of the time, you're losing. And so you have to find guys that compete, that stay healthy, that are available, that are willing, that are ready to do everything that is required every single day. Not when it feels good, not when it's comfortable, even when it's uncomfortable. You got to go out and find those guys, and you got to go out and sign those guys. And just saying, oh, we signed a pitcher, is this pitcher going to be great for you, or is he going to be good, or is he going to be average? What has he been throughout his entire career? And that generally tells you what he will be going forward. That's the bottom line. And so the Cardinals have a decision to make. Do I want to spend money and be better? Do I want to spend a little bit of money and be maybe a little bit better? Or do I not want to spend any money and just stay where I am? Yeah. And that's the decision that they are in right now.
It is. And you mentioned puke point. I wish that the Cardinals would get to their puke point when it comes to spending and not get sticker shock. But right now, it just feels like we're getting at that puke point of that same just sickly feeling of it happening over and over again. Well, that's Carrie. I'm Brooke. Coming up next, we're going to go to the celebrity line to talk to Bernie Federko about the Blues, who are doing really well, if you haven't noticed lately. That's coming up next here on the Opening Drive on 101 ESPN.
talking everything St. Louis Blues as we head into the Blues Booth. Presented by Boardwalk Hardwood Floors, a proud partner of your St. Louis Blues. Find your perfect new floor at our 4 convenient locations and online at boardwalkhardwood.com.
To the opening drive, I'm Kerry Davis, joined by Brooke Grimsley, and we go to the Blues booth and visit with our friend Hall of Famer Bernie Federko. Bernie, how are you doing, sir?
Good, Kerry. I'm doing great. How are you guys this morning?
We're doing great. I'm sure you're doing much better watching this Blues team play in the way that they have been playing lately. What has changed? What has been this shift that they've had?
I just think it's just a matter of time. I mean, we talked about it earlier, is that they all got to get on the same page, and I think they're on that. They're playing with some intensity. They've got energy. They've got excitement. They've got some confidence now. So I think it's a little bit of everything. But, it was kind of a rough ride, and I think that, you know as well that you've got a lot of pride in yourselves. You've got a lot of pride in your team, and you don't like to lose. No one likes to lose. And when you find the way and you find the combinations makes you win, everybody gets excited about it, and I think that's where they are at right now.
Well, Bernie, we know how important establishing an identity is for a team. It felt like the Blues really struggled with that last season, and we saw how last season went. Are we starting to see an identity emerge for the Blues? And if so, what do you think it is?
I hope so. I mean, it's a hard-working, fast-paced team, and I think that at the beginning of the year, it looked like they were playing really slowly. It seems that they couldn't find the pace that they needed to play at, and I think that they found that pace now. So I think if their identity is going to be anything, it's going to be a hardworking, I think, blue-collar, hard forechecking team that skates all the time. I mean, they've been back-checking. They've been playing the full 200-foot game, and they're scoring some goals. And I think we all thought they were going to score goals at the beginning of the year. I think that the question mark was going to be whether they could play well enough defensively, and I think that obviously the way the goaltending has been, Binnington's been great. Hofer's played really well when he's been in there, and they're doing the right thing. They're keeping the shots to the outside, and right now we're seeing a team that has got a lot of energy, and I think that they have found their way. This is the type of team that they're going to play, and if they can play with this energy and the way they're skating all the time, this is going to be a fun rest of the year.
I think defensively and on this team, we often talk about Torrey Krug and Parayko, and, people are often on them. They've been playing extremely well. Torrey Krug had 2 great passes that led to goals in the last game, and Parayko obviously scored a goal and been playing extremely well as well. What have you seen from those guys?
Well, Kerry, I think that's the thing that with the defense. I mean, this Blues defense maybe is not the greatest defensive team, but I think that offensively these defensemen can really get involved, and I think we're seeing that right now. Parayko jumping up with the play, scoring a big goal the other night, and Torrey Krug. I mean, let's not forget that he is an offensive defenseman. I mean, he was very successful with the Bruins with the passing game. He was the quarterback on the power play. He scored goals. He was a part of the offense all the time, and last year, for whatever reason, things didn't work out the way he maybe had a little bit of an off year. And, I mean, for the first, 10 games of the season, he was having a struggle getting involved with the scoring. Well, now he's found that way. He's jumping into the plays right now. And I think all the defense are getting much more involved offensively. And I think we're seeing, like, 5-man. We always talk about 5-man units, how the defense moves up with the play. And then, of course, the back-checkers, the forwards have to come back with the play when the puck is turned over. But we're seeing more of that from the defense now. They're joining the rush. They're joining the play. They're getting the puck at the point. I think that's something that Craig Ruby was stressing too, is get the puck back to the points when they're open and let the defenseman make some plays. And we're seeing all that. So it's been I think a real great transitional 5-man unit every time they're out there now. And I think that's why they're getting success out of the defense right now.
We're talking to Hockey Hall of Famer and Blues TV analyst Bernie Federko. And Bernie, I wanted to ask you about Kasperi Kapanen, him coming up to the top line, because we were discussing this with Robert Thomas earlier. Then we have Berube splitting up Robert Thomas and Jordan Kyrou. And with Kasperi Kapanen coming up to that top line, it seems like he's really emerged for the Blues, and this has become more of a breakout season for him.
Yeah, Brooke, he's got a lot of speed, and he's fit in really well. I mean, I think what has happened, and we've all talked about that, is that you can't really kind of – well, a lot of times you want to put all your, peas in one pod, and that's kind of what Chief has done, is split up the two lines, as you mentioned, with both Robert Thomas and Cairo, who we thought were going to play together for the most part, but he split them up. And now, yes, the emergence of Kapanen. And I think that's, when Armstrong was able to pick Kapanen up last year from Pittsburgh on waivers, I think it was really one of those things that, hey, there's a guy that's got a lot of speed that is going to have a lot of motivation coming into a contract year, that he's 1 year left on his deal, that he's going to want to really show the world what he has. And I think that's been a really good fit right now. And, I think that we'd like to see him obviously shoot the puck a little bit more and score some more goals. But I think he's really fit in well with Robert Thomas right now. Buchnevich is such a really good player too. So when you got three guys like that, and of course you got the Shen line with Saad and Cairo, I mean, you've got two back-to-back lines that can really do a lot of damage offensively. So Kapanen's been a really good find right now, and I hope we're probably going to see mixing and matching like we always do from Chief. But right now, the way the lines are going right now, everybody's scoring, and Kapanen's been a big part of it.
You're talking about the lines, and Craig Berube talks about an identity line, that fourth line being that. There were a few games ago where that fourth line actually started the game. That line has felt like, to me, been the catalyst of all of the things that are going on and everybody raising their play. Have you seen that as well, or is that line really the part of the reason why this team is playing so much better?
Well, if we go back to 2019, the fourth line, was Barbashev, Sundqvist, and Steen, and they started a lot of games and they played very, very well. They did set the tone for the games for really most of the end of the year and into the playoffs. So yes, that line is the identity line right now. I mean, you've got them forechecking. I mean, I think Sundqvist is playing absolutely outstanding. I mean, we all know the speed of Toropchenko when he gets going, and Neighbors, whether he's on that line or with Sammy Blais. I mean, those guys know what their job is, and that's to get in on the forecheck, make sure that they finish their checks and cycle the puck, and really to just add some energy to the rest of the team. And yes, they have really emerged as a line that can really cause a lot of chaos, I guess, in the offensive zone, and they're doing their jobs, and no one wants to play against them. So yeah, I think that we're probably going to see that line start an awful lot, because just to set the tone of the game.
Well, Bernie, hopefully they can keep the good times rolling during this West Coast trip. What are you expecting tonight against the Sharks with the Blues?
Well, I expect the best when you look at it. I mean, the Sharks are really struggling. Blues, I mean, won the last three games where they scored 15-3. So I mean, they're playing very confidently right now, and the Sharks are one of those teams that was really picked to be at the bottom of the league anyway. So this is one game that you make sure that you don't let up, and you don't be in a situation where you take this team for granted, because I mean, the Sharks say they beat Edmonton, they beat Philadelphia. I think they beat two pretty good teams. They're only 2 wins, so it's one of those situations now. These are points that you have to have. You got to put them in the bank, because most teams are going to put them in the bank against that. So they got to make sure that they're ready for this game tonight.
Bernie, that Sharks team struggling, to say the least, giving up 10 goals in back-to-back games. Had you ever been a part of anything like that?
You know what? I'm not sure. I mean, we were not a very good team when back in 77, 78, and 76, 77, and 77, 78, and 78, 79. We didn't make the playoffs, and we were not very good. I think we only had 18 wins one of those years. So I don't know if we let in 10 goals a night, though. And that's pretty hard to do, especially back to back. But there were some games that were pretty ugly too. But certainly you learn from those games. And you know what? The Sharks still, hey, the professionals. They understand that they don't want to be embarrassed. So they, obviously they played much better since those things happened. But you can never take a team for granted, because these guys got a lot of pride themselves too. So this is one thing that I know that Chief will be stressing all day today at practice and stuff. But let's, don't be playing to their level and all of a sudden get in a situation where you struggle to win a game that you're supposed to win. So it needs to be all out tonight and get an early lead, and then just play with it and make sure you win this game tonight.
Well, Bernie, thank you so much for joining us. We'll be catching you this evening on the pregame show for the Blues. Game starts at 9:30. Look forward to seeing you. Talk to you next week.
Sounds good. You guys have an afternoon nap so you can stay up late to watch the game. So you can get up early tomorrow morning.
Definitely going to need that. Appreciate you. That was Blues. That was Hall of Famer Bernie Federko joining us, and Blues got a good game, good matchup tonight. Hopefully they can take care of business.
I'm excited, and hopefully they can keep the good times rolling. But you never know. I just want to see just some consistency built here.
Yes.
That's what you talked about. I don't want the Athletics to be right about it being such an up and down season for the Blues, and hopefully this is something they can build off of.
Hopefully. That's Brooke. I'm Kerry. Coming up next is the fight, and we need a fighter. So you'll get to
take
fight
on
me.
Yes, there you
instead
go.
of Randy Carragher. Don't think it's going to be easy, though.
The bearded brain is
Yes,
back.
I'm ready to roll. Coming up, text if you want to fight me. Text into the Air Comfort Service text line 314-399-9646. That's 314-399. Yo-ho! The fight is next.
This is Rocc with your Sports Center update, brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Blues back in action tonight after a day off yesterday. They face off against the San Jose Sharks in San Jose, which means it's going to be a late puck drop here in St. Louis. A 9:30 p.m. puck drop, which means 101 ESPN has your pregame show starting at 8:30. Speaking of the Blues, you want to hear more Blues talk? You can check out the Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers podcast later today. Bernie Federko, the Hall of Famer, joined Carrie and Brooke earlier in the show. And also coming up later on at 9:15, Jeremy Rutherford from The Athletic, who just put out an article about Torrey Krug's success this season, will join Carrie and Brooke to talk about that and the St. Louis Blues. Also coming up today in basketball action, the St. Louis Billikens are at the Myrtle Beach Invitational. They play Wyoming. That's a 1 p.m. tip-off on ESPN2. And then tonight it's the Missouri Tigers versus the Minnesota Golden Gophers. That is an 8 p.m. tip-off, and you can find that game on the Big Ten Network. That is your Sports Center update, brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Welcome to the fight. In the red corner, Average Joe Listener. And in the blue corner, the undisputed king of morning drive. Please welcome Randy Carricker.
Welcome back to the opening drive. Brooke Risley here alongside Super Bowl champ Carrie Davis, Matthew Rocchio in studio. No Randy Carricker today, so that means it is going to be the bearded brain stepping into the fight. And we're going to welcome in Chris. Chris, you're taking on the bearded brain, and you had some words from him on the text line. You said, I want to destroy Carrie.
It's all talk. I'm probably going to lose pretty badly.
Chris, come on, you got to back it up. Chris, you got to back it up. Look, I was getting destroyed for my breakfast takes, and I just had to sit here and take it and back it up.
Yeah,
so you have to do that.
68% of the YouTube chat disagrees with you, Brooke.
Whatever.
Try to be humble.
There you go. All right, you ready to take on the bearded brain, a.k.a. CD, in the fight today, Chris?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. Sam Howell currently leads the NFL in passing yards, while the Commanders sit at 4-6 on the season. In the last 25 seasons, only one quarterback has led the league in yards while leading a below 500 team. Who was it? Was it Matt Schaub, Dante Culpepper, or Jameis Winston?
Jameis Winston.
Last night, LeBron James became the second oldest player in league history to record a triple-double at 38 years old. In 2003, who recorded the first and only triple-double by a 40-year-old player? Was that Michael Jordan, Gary Payton, or Karl Malone?
Gary Payton.
Blake Snell became just the second lefty to win a Cy Young in both leagues. Who was the first? Was it Johan? Oh, that was quick, Chris. There you go. By the way, can you just repeat what your answer was?
Randy Johnson.
Thank you.
The largest margin of victory in the bragging rights game is a 32-point victory by the Illini in 2005. Who led the Illini in scoring that game with 17? Was that D. Brown, James Augustine, or Marcus Arnold?
Augustine. The freebie for Terry.
Yeah. I don't think so. That's why I put it on there. I want him to get it wrong, and then I can make fun of him for that. We're going to double-check the score, and we're going to bring in Carrie Davis.
All right, Chris, how are you feeling?
Oh, 100%.
Oh, you're feeling confident now, so you want to back that up again when Carrie comes in here, that you're ready to destroy him? No? No? No?
I was not expecting hockey would have been a little bit more favorable questions.
Rocchio likes to do that. I feel like even though he doesn't know exactly who he's going to pick, I feel like he knows that it's maybe not the questions that person wants.
What we got? Football question? Basketball?
It's all hockey.
I'm not sure why I'm always catching
60s baseball.
I was always like, I didn't know these ones. Yeah, I knew ahead of time.
1960s baseball, Rock? Ken Boyer.
No.
My answer.
You're good.
Okay.
All right, Carrie. Are you ready to take on Chris in the fight today? Say hi to Chris today.
Hey, Chris, how you doing?
How are you, sir? I'm well, thank you.
Chris talked a little trash in the text line, but he's not exactly Larry Bird. He immediately backed
Oh, okay. Well,
he said it was all in fun. He said he's going to destroy you.
Yeah, well, let's just see how this goes.
Destroy. All right, you ready, Carrie?
I am ready.
Question number 1. Sam Howell currently leads the NFL in passing yards while the Commanders sit at 4-6 on the season. In the last 25 seasons, only one quarterback has led the league in yards while leading a below 500 team. Who was it?
Last 25 years, led the league. Is this the entire season? For an entire season? Led the league in passing and had a below 500 record. Hell, that could be anybody. When you're losing, you pass a lot.
But it's only happened one time.
Clearly. I don't. Part of me wants to say Brett Favre, but I don't know if he ever. What losing season would he have? It got to be an all-time great. 25 years. So what year is that? 97.
1999.
99. Okay. Since 99. Okay.
So I'm counting this season because I wanted it to be a round number.
Okay. That's fine. Not a problem. Logic says Brett Favre would have to be on that list. It wouldn't be.
You can admit that my questions are awesome and that you're not going to do it Randy style.
I'm going to do it Randy style.
Okay, fine.
Rocc,
you can get mad at me because I'm going to take a while here. I wouldn't say Peyton Manning because they were always not Drew Brees. They had winning records, even though Drew Brees has thrown for like definitely not Brady. And I'm really doing Randy style. I'll go with my first thought. Brett Favre is the one that comes to mind.
Oh, God, I got to read this one. Sorry. Last night, LeBron James became the second oldest player in league history to record a triple-double at 38 years old. In 2003, who recorded the first and only triple-double by a 40-year-old player?
2003, 40 years old. Damn, who was 2003? Who was 40? I feel like who was still playing legit minutes at 40? GP, no. Karl Malone? I know he was on that Lakers team that they said only God could beat, and the Pistons beat him. I know I'm going to need these options later. Give me the option. No, you know what? Karl Malone. No, we'll save that option for later.
It was a closey. All right. Question number 3. Blake Snell just became the second lefty to win a Cy Young in both leagues. Who was the first?
Okay, give me the options. Thank you.
That was quick. It worked out.
Yep.
Johan Santana, Randy Johnson, or Steve Carlton?
Oh. Did Randy Johnson win? It's Randy Johnson. Let's say he won it with the Mariners and the D-backs.
The largest margin of victory in a bragging rights game is a 32-point victory by the Illini in 2005.
ILO.
Who led the Illini in scoring that game with 17?
Well, that would either be D, Darren, or Luther. 05. What year did they go to? They went to the... Darren was gone. Ooh, or was it Aaron Rodgers? Let's go Luther Head.
We have a tie.
Gosh darn it.
Rocc is so excited.
Chris thought number 4 was a gimme for you, and it wasn't.
Dog it.
I'm going to hold that over you forever.
Was it D. Brown?
It wasn't. It
Yes.
was 100% D. Brown.
Gosh darn it.
So, we have a tiebreaker. We have to go to our tiebreaker question. But, Carrie, you get another gold. Oh, sorry, not gold, my bad. Sorry, you get another orange and blue second chance.
There
Because here's our tiebreaker question. Let's go through the rules really quickly. I'm going to read out the question. Carrie will have a moment to write down his answer. Chris, we will then get your answer audibly. Carrie will then share what his answer is and hold it up to the camera. Chris, do you understand those rules?
Yes, sir, I do.
Carrie, do you have paper and pen?
Yes.
Do you understand the rules?
Yes. Do this every day.
The Illini currently lead the bragging rights series through its 53-game history. How many times have the Illini won the bragging rights game?
53, more than...
Illini currently lead the bragging rights series through its 53-game history. How many times have the Illini won the bragging rights game? Just a moment, Chris. Carey is thinking. He's doing math. He's crossing things out. He's moving his number. It has changed. Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Okay, so we have Carey's guess. Chris, what is your guess, sir?
They were good in the early 2000s, so we'll go 31 for Illinois.
31 for Illinois. Carey Davis, what had you written down before Chris gave his answer for 31?
I wrote 32.
Woo, baby. All right, then. So, by an absolute just the littlest bit possible, was Chris able to take down Carrie? Or does Carrie not have to deal with an angry Megamind tomorrow? The winner of this fight, ring that bell.
The winner and still champion of the fight, Randy Carricker.
Just win, baby. They don't ask how, they ask how many. Carrie Davis gets it because the Fighting Illini are 33-20 against the Missouri Tigers. Chris, I'm so sorry. You were so close. But Carrie just barely got you.
You want to share what I scratched out before
Carrie scratched out 30 and then put in 32 just before he raised it.
I raised it.
That is insane. I mean, inches, moments away from a victory, Chris. An incredible job in the fight. You both got 2 correct. Good job.
Thanks, guys. Thanks,
Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
Absolutely. Let's go through those questions and answers. Sam Howell currently leads the NFL in passing yards, while the Commanders sit at 4-6 on the season. In the last 25 seasons, only Jameis Winston has led the league in passing in 2019, and his team has been below 500. They were 7-9. The Carolina Panthers. No, it's him and Sam Howell. If he leads this year. Steve Burline, excuse me. In 1998, the Panthers were 8-8, and he led the league in passing, and that's why my cutoff date was 1999. So Jameis Winston on the first one. Last night, LeBron became the second oldest player in league history to record a triple-double at 38 years old. It was, in fact, a 40-year-old Karl Malone who put up a triple-double in that game. Blake Snell just became the second lefty to win a Cy Young in both leagues. It was, in fact, Randy Johnson the first. The largest margin of victory in a bragging rights game, 32 points by the Illini. They had 4 scorers in double figures, all of them around 17, but it was only D. Brown who got to that 17-point mark for the victory and the Illini. So a 2-2 tie for Carey and a win in the tiebreaker. Hey, you did orange and blue right with the tiebreaker, and so you got to win today. Good job, Carey. Thank you again, Chris, for joining the fight and joining the show today.
Thanks. Have a good day, guys.
Good job, Chris.
Wow, that was the definition of clutch, CD, at the end there.
What a change.
That was so good. All right, well, that's Carry On Brooke. Coming up next, we're going to discuss the 49ers have popped up as the Vegas favorites in the NFC. I don't know, guys. Maybe Vegas has something wrong about this as the favorites in the NFC. Did they forget about the Eagles existing? Either way, we're going to discuss that coming up next here on the Opening Drive on 101 ESPN. Opening Drive. Brooke Grimsley here alongside Super Bowl champ Carrie Davis and Matthew Rocchio in studio. No Randy Carricker today. He is probably out on the golf course. He has been texting us, and he was very proud of you, CD, for winning the fight.
Glad I could hold it down until he got back.
Thank you. You did it.
It's a tough task.
It was very clutch.
Can we dive in? What happened? What went into your mind when he made the change from 30 to 32? What happened to Carrie Davis in that moment?
30 just felt like it wasn't enough. You know, in the Illini, we give more, so I felt the need to give more in that moment.
And you thought D. Brown, though, that one game held back a little bit?
Well, I thought D. Brown would be more of a facilitator because that's what he does. He facilitates, gets people involved, and, you know, I just thought it might be a trick question, knowing Matthew Rocchio.
And that's another thing. I think that it adds another layer to the fight, is that you also have to factor in, is he trying to do a gotcha question
definitely
here?
Thought he was trying to get one over on me. I knew it wasn't Darren. I thought Darren was already gone, but Luther or D would definitely be on that list.
It was a great fight, and the bearded brain showed up once again today. So here's a big question right now in the NFL. The 49ers have popped up as the Las Vegas favorites in the NFC, just ahead of the Eagles. Are you seeing eye to eye with odds makers right now? Are you seeing eye to eye with the Vegas? And I just want to put it out here, I don't think Vegas is always accurate with their assessments sometimes, but why do you think that they see it as the 49ers should be ahead?
Well, I think when you're looking at the NFC side of things, the Eagles have only lost one game, and it was a terrible game to the Jets. They turned the ball over too many times. Jalen Hurts threw 3 interceptions. That's the only blemish that they have on their record. They haven't been clicking on all cylinders yet, but they are still an elite team. I think the 49ers are looked at as probably the favorites because of the style of play that they have. They have so many weapons. And, you know, when Deebo Samuel was out, when Trent Williams was out, they lost those 3 games. And that was part of the reason why they lost them. You don't have those 2 guys who are all pro caliber players. Trent Williams, one of the best offensive linemen in the league. You missing that guy left tackle, it definitely changes things for your offense. And we saw that Brock Purdy wasn't as successful, but then they come back from a bye week healthy, and then they just go and beat the hell out of the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think that probably is fresh on some people's minds. Now, the Eagles play the Chiefs this weekend on Monday night. If the Eagles handle the business in the way that they are capable of doing, that number, that idea might change that the Eagles are the best team.
Do you still have some concerns, though, about Brock Purdy and his abilities?
Not if people are healthy.
Yeah.
I think if you can I mean, they have Kyle Shanahan has done a great job of finding ways to get his best players the ball, moving them around, putting them in different positions. It is so much stress on the defense when you do not know where the person is going to align. If you have a receiver in the backfield and now you got to put a safety in the box to if you're in man-to-man, it just changes. It really eliminates what you can do defensively because now you're probably going to be in zone because they aren't aligned in the way that you want them to align.
Kerry, sometimes I have a tendency to talk about interceptions and stuff that maybe they went through a guy's hands, or maybe it shouldn't have been an interception, and so I don't think you should you shouldn't count it. Brock Purdy, for example, got a touchdown pass against the Jaguars that Kyle Shanahan called the worst pass he's ever seen Purdy throw.
Yeah.
So even though it was a touchdown pass, the worst pass he's ever seen him throw was, and he lobbed it he was going left and he lobbed it over 2 players. It was too high for Kittle, and Ayuk still came down with it. When he's making those kind of plays, and they're still, and that's what's getting them through, does it make you worry about what does it look like in the NFC Championship game against an Eagles defense?
No, I think if that Eagles team, if that 49ers team is healthy, you have a much better game than took place in that championship game with the Eagles and the 49ers. It changes things. But I don't know that Brock Purdy, I haven't seen him really rattled other than when his guys were not on the field and they weren't performing well. They lost one game where the field goal kicker missed a kick at the last second to win that game. So that was one game that they lost. But when you're looking at them and how they play, the style of play that they have, the physicalness, they are a tough, hard-nosed football team, both offensively and defensively. I just don't think that they are the better team in comparison to the Eagles.
Well, and the conversation here is which team is going to be the favorites for the NFC. We talked about the 49ers. We talked about the Eagles, but should the Lions be a part of this conversation?
I still think the Lions are a year away. I just have felt that all season long. I haven't felt like they're going to win. They're going to win their division. They're going to win their division. But again, getting into the playoffs and not having a lot of experience, not having a lot of guys that have done it on this team or at a high level, it just changes things. And so I don't think that this Lions team is a team that I fear necessarily. They are a really good team right now, but I don't think when it comes playoff time that they'll be a team that you have to worry about.
We got a solid text here from the 636. Maybe Vegas realizes that Philly's pass defense and turnover-prone QB are hidden by their 8-1 record. Kerry, if you're 8-1, are you hiding much? Just overall, and let's frame it differently. Instead of why are the Eagles or why are the 49ers slightly higher than the Eagles right now in the odds, why would you have the Eagles as the number one team over the 49ers if that was the case?
In the NFC, I think they are. I mean, one, their record obviously is 8-1. That minus,
that's hiding really bad things, Kerry.
It was one bad game where Jalen Hurts stunk. He was terrible. He didn't play well. He didn't perform well. And again, I think this team is still figuring things out. They're a tough team to run on. They're going to play well up front. Their secondary is still really good. So I trust the Eagles right now more than I trust the 49ers. Not by much, though. I mean, that 3-game losing streak for me for the 49ers was a little bit eye-opening. It worried me about them. Now, again, they were able to go down to Jacksonville and beat the hell out of them with no issues. But if I'm looking at an eye test and I'm saying which team would I take, I'm going to take the Philadelphia Eagles right now over the 49ers.
That's Kerry Davis. I'm Brooke Grimsley. And coming up next, we're going to have our Rush Hour Reset. We were just talking about Las Vegas and their odds, but we just got some news that a team is on the move to the Las Vegas. Officially, we're going to discuss that coming up next here on the Opening Drive on 101 ESPN.
Sports stories of the day on the opening drive with a Rush Hour Reset.
Welcome back to the opening drive. I'm Kerry Davis, joined by Brooke Grimsley. And as Brooke teased prior to the break, the Oakland Athletics and the baseball owners have approved their move from Oakland to Las Vegas.
That's the big
unanimously.
thing. Yes, unanimous.
I feel bad for Oakland, man. Like, I do.
Yeah.
You lose the Raiders. The Warriors go across the bridge to San Francisco. Now you're losing your baseball team. Like, come on, man.
And I hate the notion, too, because I think that St. Louis fans can really resonate this, that there is a narrative that has really been put out there by the owners and some others where it's like, well, fans weren't showing up to the A's game. Well, what was the owner doing? He wasn't spending money. He wasn't really putting any money into the team. And it was all purposeful so that people wouldn't go out there. Because why would you go out and spend your hard-earned money to see something that you know he's purposely trying to tear apart because he wants to sell it, or he wants to move it, excuse me. He wants to move it to another location. It's not a secret. It does very much feel like the whole Rams situation, right?
Yeah.
Where it's very public, his feelings and what his intentions are. You know that there's another city that he's looking at, but then they try to somehow put it back on the fans like it's your fault or the city's fault as to why this move is happening. Just say what you want to say. Vegas is where the money's at. That's where you want to go. You don't really care about the fan base and the fans being there.
Yeah.
That's 100% what it is, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's always about the money, not anything else. Nothing else matters. When you have a bunch of money, you want only thing to make you more happy is more money, right?
Yeah, I feel bad for the Oakland area again, just because here's the thing: the Oakland area has been getting so much spillover because there's no real estate for tech companies in San Francisco. So Oakland's been like a top 5 budding like tech hub for the last 10 years because businesses have to set up there, but now that's money for Oakland. And so the Warriors one is still probably the worst one because it's just like they literally just
went across the street.
And it's like it's the closest one. You can still go watch games pretty easily, but it's almost like you trade
right across the street.
Right across the freaking street.
Yeah. It's a difficult task, man. I mean, that is hard for fans of that city that have grown up as Raiders, as, you know, Oakland A's fans. I used to love the Oakland Athletics when I was a kid. It was one of my favorite teams to watch. Ricky Henderson was one of my favorite players as a kid. It was just, you know, you look at that city and the things that they've lost over the last couple of years, and you just have to feel bad for them.
Yeah, you do. And I just think about, remember yesterday I brought up the quote that Bob Nightingale had with John Fisher, the A's owner, when he was talking to some of those protesters that were at the owners' meetings, where he said, it's been a lot worse for me than you.
Probably doesn't have a real outlook on, real perspective on things.
You're telling me that the trust fund baby of the people who own the Gap might not have a great perspective on, I don't know, reality as a regular human being in this country?
Probably.
No.
This has been hard for him, Rocc. This has been really hard for him.
Speaking of the city of Oakland.
What's a gallon of milk cost? $35?
How would he know?
Exactly.
Has he been to a grocery store?
No!
Speaking of the city of Oakland and going to San Francisco, the Warriors, Draymond Green was suspended for 5 games after his chokehold on one Rudy Gobert.
No money.
5 games without pay. 5 games without pay. He's getting fined.
Can you imagine the podcast we're going to get next week?
Listen, man, I personally didn't have an issue with it. You protect your people. Somebody grabs your guy, you grab him a little bit harder. That's not my problem. That's your problem. Get him off of me. You should really, if you're Rudy Gobert, you should really be mad at Karl Anthony Towns for his lack of effort of getting you out of this chokehold.
Here's what I'll say.
You should be mad at yourself as well.
Here's where you cross the line, and this is where I think the 5 games comes from. You pull a guy back, and maybe you do go with a chokehold. Maybe that's not too loud. But as soon as you do the thing where you take your second hand and you lock that chokehold, and then you start pulling back to the point where this guy might not be able to breathe in a second, that's where you go. Over. That's where you go from this is a brawl, this is a thing where a scuffle, to I'm trying to hurt somebody maliciously.
Well, here's the thing. If you watch the video,
that's why you suspend him like
fine.
You do.
5 games, he'll be okay. If you watch the video, and I think he'll take 5. He probably would have taken 10. He didn't. He knew what he was doing when he did it. If you watch the video, Rudy Gobert gets his arm over Klay Thompson's shoulder, almost around his neck. And so when Dre lunges, his arm, Rudy Gobert's arm, is right up on his shoulder, ready to go on Clay's neck, and so he stopped it. I didn't have a problem with it.
With Draymond, though, I think it's his history that also plays into this. If it was a different player, maybe people wouldn't pay attention to it as much. But I think that it was the technique, right? That you have somebody in a chokehold. It was almost a sleeper hold.
If you're gonna choke somebody, you got to choke them correctly.
Hand that changes a chokehold. Like you put your brother in a chokehold, you just go one arm. You put somebody who's trying to hurt
you in a chokehold.
Not when he was trying to actually put me in a sleep, like full on go to sleep. Like that never actually happened. Like I was never actually like worried about my oxygen levels.
Well, I understand, but hey, not his fault.
That's second hand.
Fault.
That second hand is a deliberate move. And come on.
What are you talking about? I was more bothered with Charles Barkley acting like, well, these guys.
I'm worried.
That bothered me.
You're not going to have like a team talk with the Illini this year at any point, like before the bragging rights game.
So here's the thing. Listen, hold on. This is some truth here.
Nick Honor, I'm so sorry.
I will give you some truth. So Lovey asked me and Dana Howard to talk to the football team.
Okay.
And so this was some years ago.
You went too hard, didn't you?
Yes. Dana and I that's like my big brother. So Dana understands the intensity required to play this game, as do I. And so we were really never asked to come back and speak to the team.
Oh, my God.
Football is a violent sport, man. These young men have to understand it's either hit or get hit. And if you don't want to get hit, Brooke, you got to hit.
And they didn't like that advice?
It was a little more colorful.
Oh, okay. Can you give us like a little taste?
Just a little
taste?
Did you forget like where Lovey came from before he was with St. Louis?
Football is football, and it's played in one way.
and you played for who when you were with the Colts?
Tony Dungy.
And Lovey Smith has a similar...
That's fine, but I also played in Pittsburgh where Mike Tomlin said the most physical team will win. Now, either you hit or get hit.
I'm just picturing like a terrified Lovey Smith just
oh my God,
what did I do?
Yeah, hey. It was probably not. I don't know if it might have been spring ball. This wasn't the pregame speech.
You can't tell them to like take the soul out of their teammates.
Hey, man, why are you playing this game? For what purpose? You in it for it all, or you just here for a good time? Because if you in it for this, we got to take care of business.
I wish that there was cameras around for this, so that we could. No, you'd say no. We need to get.
Coach Underwood, no need to call Kerry.
You want your guys fired up? You call me.
I don't need the Missouri Tigers
ready to run
choked
through
out in the middle of the bragging rights game.
Don't throw any elbows. Won't be no problem.
It's called getting a rebound.
Work on the sleeper hold. There you go. Take some MMA classes while you're at it.
The Blues play tonight versus the San Jose Sharks. Puck drops at 9:30 p.m. Pregame will start here at 8:30. You can hear Curbs. Is Joey back? Curbs and Joey on the pregame show here at 8:30. And the Blues have been playing really well lately. It's been fun to watch them perform at the level they've been performing. And so hopefully they can continue that tonight versus a team that is not really that good in the San Jose Sharks.
No, but here's the thing, Kerry. I'm a little afraid to say that because you just never know. I feel like sometimes when you say that, you never know what exactly is going to happen in the game, and then you feel awkward afterwards. So I'm not ready to say that just yet. Are they good? No. And I'm talking about the Sharks specifically. Okay. But also, I just want to see the Blues build up some more consistency, which they have been able to do here lately. When we were talking to Bernie about the identity, we saw how the Blues really didn't establish any sort of identity, positive identity last season, right? Mm-hmm. I think that right now they're at least building towards that and playing the game that I think that Craig Berube has been wanting them to play all season. We talked a lot early on about this defensive system change, if it was a negative impact on the Blues, but if you look at the numbers specifically with Torrey Krug and Justin Falk, that pairing working together, there's already a huge difference from last season around this time and this season in their progression. Colton Parayko also looks fantastic. We were talking about him. He just looks like he's not overthinking, and he feels very confident in who he is. And he had, I know we're talking to Jeremy Rutherford here in just a few minutes, but Jeremy did an interview this offseason with Colton Parayko about how hard it was. He knew that there was a lot of frustrations with him, not only with Doug Armstrong and Craig Berube, but also with the fan base. And it seems like Colton came into this season, one, one, very healthy all around, but also a healthier mindset, and you're seeing that play out.
Yeah, I mean, they are playing really well. And it's fun to watch. That to me has been the biggest thing. When they aren't performing well or giving the effort and energy, it's hard to watch this team. But the way that they've been playing collectively and connected, I think, has been really good to see for the Blues.
And you can tell when we were talking to Robert Thomas yesterday, he's feeling a lot better.
Yes. I mean, everybody feels better when you win.
Oh, are you saying it's the cure-all? There you go.
Yes. Yes. Losing is draining.
Everybody becomes friends then whenever you're winning together.
Yes, they do. That's Brooke. I'm Kerry. Coming up next, we do have Jeremy Rutherford from The Athletic. We'll talk to him about what he's seeing from this Blues team. That's next on The Opening Drive.
Rutherford Report with our Blues insider, Jeremy Rutherford. Brought to you by Scott Lee Heating Company, a proud Mitsubishi Electric Elite contractor.
Welcome back to the Opening Opening Drive. Brooke Grimsley here alongside Super Bowl champ Kerry Davis and Matthew Rocchio. And we go to the celebrity line to talk to the superstar, the celebrity, and that is the Athletics' Jeremy Rutherford. JR, how are you doing today?
Good. Not a chance, Brookie. Stop it with that. But I'm doing a lot better now. Hey, guys, I just walked into the gym, and usually people will come up and say, how long are you going to stay on that cardio? Or hey, how's your diet? What have you been eating? And today, instead, 5 people came up and said, what'd you say to those Blues? They're really playing good hockey. What'd you do? So I guess it helps me out when this team's playing well.
Helps everybody out. There is a feeling of, I guess, easiness or relaxedness when you're winning games as opposed to losing. And this team has been playing really well lately. We saw this a little bit last year. You went on the 7-8 game winning streak, and then you went on a 7-game losing streak. But this feels a little bit different, a lot different than last year. This team is playing at a higher level. What have you seen in comparisons from last season's team that was going on those winning streaks to this season's team now?
Yeah, I guess looking back at it, it's a little bit easier to kind of look back at what happened last year and dissect it. In real time last year, it was tough. But I think now you can see that I think when they won the 7 games after losing the 8, it was a little bit of a pride situation. Hey, we're better than that. But still, there were still issues. As we know, the defensive system and the fact that it wasn't going to get any better in terms of not allowing those wide open slot shots and, kind of the different groups on the team. You had Tarasenko on his way out the door, most likely. You didn't know what was going to happen with O'Reilly. You had Kyrou and Thomas were kind of taking over the team carry. But now this year is a lot different. I think when you win 5 of 6, and you don't want to count your chickens before they hatch, but tonight's game against San Jose is really winnable. Like Bernie said earlier in the show, there's just a good energy, a good momentum, and I think that because the changes on defense, and we see it's helping a couple of these defensemen that struggled last year, Colton Parayko and Torrey Krug and a couple other guys, I think there's reason to believe that it can continue. So my answer is that there's not some of those same issues that the team was dealing with last year.
Well, speaking of Torrey Krug, you have an article right now out on The Athletic that is titled, After a Slow Start, Torrey Krug has started to become the solution for the Blues. What do you mean by that, JR?
Yeah, well, the reason I use that word solution in the story is because that's the word that Torrey Krug used when he came out to speak to the media in the preseason before everything got going. During the offseason, I had a couple talks with Torrey Krug text-wise, and I said, well, this is going to be a big story when we get to training camp in terms of, you invoking the no-trade clause and the pressure is going to be on. And he said, well, I want to be part of the solution. And that's what he came out and told us in that preseason gathering with the media. I want to be part of the solution. And so you go 10 games without a point. Obviously, that's going to raise a red flag. A lot of us were bringing that up those first 10 games. And so the other night, he won you a game. And I think that if you look back at the last 6 games, he's played really well, guys. And so it was kind of it felt good to talk to Torrey Krug about how well he's playing and how he's been able to overcome what happened this summer and be part of that solution.
JR, I think people tend to forget that, you're a professional athlete, but you're also a person, and you're dealing with real life things. And when you're looking at Colton Parayko and Torrey Krug, the issues that they've gone through over the last year or so, Torrey with the trade and denying that, and Colton Parayko with maybe being injured or not playing at his highest level, what have you seen personally from those guys that has really shifted in their play and allowed them to have the success that they're having?
Yeah, I just think they're going out there and doing what they've done best in their careers. And, no one's sitting here saying that these guys are Hall of Fame defensemen, but we've seen it from these guys in the past, so they're capable of it. We've seen it with Colton Parayko back in 2019 with Jay Bolmeister, and obviously he had that back injury. No jokes here, please.
JR, how long ago did he have that?
Oh, it was about a week back.
No, JR, no. No.
He's just obviously been able to overcome that. And this year there was so much pressure on him because could you imagine if we had another year, a start this year for Colton Parayko like he played last year? Everything obviously would be running him out of town. Where's the trade? Take anything. And people just didn't realize that it's hard to unload 7-8 years of term on a contract, and that would have been difficult to do with Colton Parayko. But he has played unbelievable. And then smaller sample size just here recently, Torrey Krug as well. So, I'll tell you guys this. if you're Doug Armstrong and you had to write a list of 2 or 3, 4 things that kind of had to happen for this team to be successful this year, sure, you can talk about scoring in Bennington and things like that, but right up at the top of the list would have been Colton Parayko and Torrey Krug playing a lot better, and they're doing that.
We're talking with Jeremy Rutherford of The Athletic as we look at the Blues as they get ready to face the San Jose Sharks tonight and continue this West Coast trip. But I wanted to ask you, because we were thinking about this early in the season, discussing this, if we would see some more consistent playing time for Scott Perunovich, and now we're seeing that a little bit more. What have you seen from Perunovich and his addition?
Yeah, I think with each game, you're seeing him knock the rust off a little bit, and that was kind of to be expected. Talked to him a couple times, and he just said, gosh, I just want a stretch of games. That's it. And so I think he's with each game, you can kind of see him getting more comfortable. You know, how good is it now with a Torrey Krug? You want to see the power play get better. Those are the types of passes, granted 5-on-5, that you get from a Torrey Krug. Now you want to see that same decision-making on the power play. Well, if that happens, then you have a Torrey Krug running the number 1 power play and a Scott Perunovich running the number 2. There's been so much talk about can you play Krug and Perunovich in the same lineup, and a lot of people say no, but I think they're proven in this last stretch that you can. And so the other thing that I think about this, Brooke, with Perunovich being back in the lineup is it kind of coincides with when the team started playing better. And I think when you have a guy like Perunovich who can move the puck in that third pair, I think it's really helped the Blues with their transition game. So, you know, he's going to get better with more games, but putting Scott Perunovich back in the lineup has been a major plus for this team.
All right, JR, the Blues are playing extremely well. Winners of 5 of their last 6. Obviously, the power play is one thing that they would like to get better, but are there any other areas that you think that Chief is really focusing on and something that they would like to see better going forward?
Yeah, no, it's a fair question because, look, you have a game tonight, and gosh, you lose this one. I don't know if I want to come on with you guys next week. But,
you got to come on so we can hear what Chief said. We got to hear that.
Yeah, well, then you go back to the inconsistency in terms of their play. But, you know, honestly, with the way things are going right now, it's I think the focus is on the power play, and it's been a little better lately. Had a couple goals the other night, and I know you said aside from the power play, but you know, if I look at the lineup, they're getting good production and good chemistry from each of the 4 lines. You look at Colton Parayko's play, great. The second pair, Falk and Krug, they've been the Blues' best pair. And now we just talked about Perunovich in the third pair. I think that's looked pretty good. And gosh, what more can you say about Jordan Bennington? So, you know, penalty kill, you know, hasn't been great every night. So maybe that's another little area of focus. But to me, it's power play, power play, power play. I mean, you're talking about 5 of 6. You could be 6 of 7 tonight, and you're still not really getting it from the power play. If you could, you know, this team could be a lot better.
Is there another player that has really stood out to you other than the names that we have mentioned during this surge for the Blues?
You know, I think a name that we're certainly familiar with, but Oscar Sundqvist, I think that 4th line has been tremendous, and Sundqvist is leading that charge. I think since the benching, Vrana's looked better. That shot was amazing the other night. We're not really probably talking about that play if he doesn't finish off that pass from Torrey Krug with a goal. So that's the type of talent he has with that shot. I like Kapanen up with Thomas. That's given a different look to that top 6, and so far it looks like he's been able to handle it. So off the top of my head, you know, other than the guys we already talked about, those are the names that kind of stick out to me.
All right, thank you so much for joining us, Jeremy, and enjoy your time. Are you already done with the gym, or did you say you finished it up today?
No, we're going to go back in there. A little split shift. We got 20 minutes in, and now we'll head back in there. But yeah, at least we're talking about the Blues and not Rutherford's physique here.
Is it a cardio day or is this strength training day?
Oh, is there a difference? I don't know. I just kind of go in there and hope they get a buffet or something.
Gary, any advice?
Cardio is always good. It helps. Yeah, but here's the thing, JR. You don't have to run. Listen, now I've started doing this walk on an incline. Now it's going to be a high incline, 15, as high as it's going to go. 2.5 right. For 30 minutes. All right. You will feel like you actually got to it. So there you go.
I'll do it right now, Kerry. I'll get back in there and do it.
Let me know how it goes.
One time I was in the hotel gym on the road. Blues are at a hotel, and I'll never forget. I was lifting a few weights, feeling pretty good about pumping the iron, and Jamal Mayers, the former Blue, walked in, and he said, "You know, there's some cardio over there."
Oh, my gosh. JR, we would never do that to you. That is funny, though. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Jeremy, and we will talk to you later, okay?
All right, see you guys.
See you.
All right, that is Jeremy Rutherford from The Athletic. The Blues facing off against the San Jose Sharks tonight, starting their West Coast trip, and that is a 9:30 puck drop, so be ready to stay up late tonight. Right, CD? Have your coffee ready?
Yeah,
Multiple coffees ready?
9:15, get that cup of coffee in.
Exactly. Get that ready. Well, coming up next, we were talking about this earlier with Greg Amsinger. Despite his age and walk issues, Amsinger says that Blake Snell has staying power. Should that change how the Cardinals approach a deal with Snell? We're going to discuss that next, coming up here on the opening drive on 101 ESPN.
This is Rocc with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Blues back in action tonight. It's a late one, 9:30 p.m. puck drop in San Jose for the Blues and the Sharks. You can catch that game right here on 101 ESPN. And our pregame show starts an hour before at 8:30 p.m. here Central Time. It's another late game for the St. Louis Blues. They are now on the West Coast. Also coming up tonight, it's another late tip-off, and that's the Missouri Tigers facing off against the Minnesota Golden Gophers. You can catch that game on the Big Ten Network. But there is some action earlier today. 1 p.m. in the afternoon, St. Louis Billikens are in the Myrtle Beach Invitational. They face off against Wyoming. You can catch that game on ESPN2. That is your Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff. Find your roads and shop 24/7 at Londoff.com and LondoffAutoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
The guys that figure it out after the age of 30 have staying power. I'm thinking about my friend Al Leiter, Kenny Rogers, Jamie Moyer, Rich Hill, but more specifically, pitchers that win their second Cy Young at age 30 or older, okay, which is what Blake Snell did. He's 30 years old. There are only 3 other left-handers that have ever done that. Blake Snell is not afraid of walking anyone anymore, and that's why he had such a meteoric rise. He walked more players than anybody in the National League, but his swing and miss stuff means, well, I'm not going to give in on 3 balls and 1 strike to you. I can strike the next guy out. In his mind, he's ahead in the count when the batter steps into the batter's box.
That was our friend Greg Amsinger this morning on the opening drive. I'm Kerry Davis, joined by Brooke Grimsley. And Brooke, Greg had some fair points about one Blake Snell, who just won the Cy Young Award, National League, and saying that he knows who he is. Mm-hmm. Pitchers that reach a certain age of 30 that are confident and comfortable where they are in that role by that time are usually have staying power and are going to be that for the remainder of their careers. So my question to you is, you got a choice, Blake Snell or Aaron Nola, and you got to pick one.
If I'm the Cardinals and that's the situation, and saying that they will actually come here, money's not the conversation.
Money is not an option. The money is off. We're getting one of them. Which one you want, and why?
Because also in that same conversation, Greg had a great point about Aaron Nola and his consistency and what he can bring, and also just the fact that I might have to do Aaron Nola here, but if I'm the Cardinals and you say that you are going to prioritize more swing and miss stuff than they had previously before, you remember John Mozeliak mentioned that's going to be a priority for them, especially moving forward. Do you go with Blake Snell in that situation? Because Blake Snell, by the way, 2.25 ERA to lead all of Major League Baseball. He was in top 5 of pitchers in total strikeouts this past season, and that was 240 strikeouts over 180 innings of work. That was his second Cy Young, too, that he was able to receive here recently. I think that Blake Snell is intriguing if you are looking for that, because where is the rest of the swing and miss stuff coming from your starting rotation, or even with what you have available with the Cardinals?
Well, it's not there. It's not. And that was one of the things that the Cardinals talked about, in this transition from how the rules changed. They just, in my opinion, weren't up on the times and not understanding that the game has changed. You can't have guys hitting balls to places where your fielders are no longer able to be.
Wasn't there a rule change that happened?
It was an entire. I think everyone got the memo. We got it, so I would assume that they got it as well. But there will have to be a shift in their philosophy and how they go about attacking hitters. Blake Snell does have that ability, that mindset. For me, I think it would still be Aaron Nola, though. I think just watching him perform in big moments, we saw it here last year. Those are the moments that really, I guess, drive the bus for me. I want guys that are going to show up in that moment and not shy away from. Not that Blake Snell does.
And be a horse. Is that what you're saying?
That's probably more so what I'm looking for. Being a horse, giving me innings, because with Blake Snell, 180 innings pitched last year. Not bad, but not great. And so you want a guy that's going to give you 200-plus innings a year. And for me, it's going to be a guy like Aaron Nola. And I just like what he brings to the table more so. Even though Blake Snell, like I said, you can't argue his numbers. You can't argue what his production has been. But for me, it would be Blake Snell because I think it helps out with other issues that you're lacking in terms of the bullpen. If you get Blake Snell, you're going to have to re-bolster that bullpen and make sure that you got guys in there that can take care of their business.
Well, and they should be doing that anyway.
They should be.
That's what they should be doing. And with the conversations when it comes to the Cardinals and the budget and the spending that they're going to be doing this offseason, which we've discussed at length, that concern about how this money will be spent, I think that the bullpen is a big part of that conversation, right?
Yes.
That's how they're going to allocate some of that money. They're going to go out and probably get one starting pitcher and then trade for another. And then the swing man, whoever the swing man is going to count for that 2.5, which I feel bad for the pitcher being called or you're part of the half. You're not even a real pitcher. Yeah, you're just half a man. Yeah. And then you're going to have to go and make some additions to your bullpen. And I think that's what the Cardinals are taking into account. So why not? If you are the Cardinals and you look at Blake Snell and his abilities and you say that we're going to start fixing our pitching philosophy, that's going to take a while down throughout your organization in the minor league system. That's going to take a while to really make these adjustments because the pitchers that they have been getting, as you mentioned, CD, are more pitch to contact. Now you have the band, the shift. We saw how that affected some of the pitchers this past season for the Cardinals. You have to get it somewhere. You have to get more of that swing and miss from somewhere, and you probably should get it from free agency.
And I'm looking at some numbers. When we talk about innings pitched, you may look at Blake Snell and say, well, he pitched 180 innings this year. Well, Aaron Nola only pitched 193. Blake Snell has only pitched 180 innings twice. That's his highest. Aaron Nola, he's pitched 212, 202, 180, 205, 193. Like, he's going to give you those innings as opposed to what we talk about with Blake Snell, just not giving you enough. And it's, don't get me wrong, it's great what he's going to give, but is it going to be enough? We saw this season that this bullpen was fatigued. They got tired. They didn't have enough because they were pitching too many innings because your starting pitchers were only giving you 5. Some innings, some days it was 4. Some days it may have been 6, and that was a good day. But the quality starts, even to start the season, is really, I think, what set off the domino effect for that bullpen to not be well rested as the season went on. And we saw what happened. We saw the number of blown saves that this team had. All of those things are tied in. So for me, getting a pitcher that can eat up innings, getting a couple of guys that can eat up innings and save your bullpen so they're not so gassed, not so fatigued, I think that's what leads to having a better starting rotation and a better bullpen for 2024.
I can see, and somebody pointed this out on the text line, that I can see Aaron Nola just fitting more in line with what the Cardinals have done in recent years. But this season taught you that you can't do what you've been doing in recent years. Aaron Nola, without a doubt, is a horse, and I think that would be fantastic to have in your starting rotation. But do you start to change things? If you say you're going to change your philosophy moving forward, then you have to start doing different things than you've done before. You have to change your approach this offseason if you're the Cardinals, because you can't repeat the same story over and over and over again, because you're going to get the exact same result. I do think it's interesting, and we discussed this too with Greg Amsinger, about the report that Jordan Montgomery is more interested in returning to one of the teams that he had previously been at. So that would be obviously the Cardinals, Rangers, or even the Yankees. But if you notice, did you notice this, CD? He kept talking about the Yankees more than the other teams.
Well, it makes sense. I mean, for me, the Cardinals had an opportunity to sign him. I think he wanted to re-sign. Before the season. They decided to go with Miles Michaelis. They didn't re-sign Jordan Montgomery, and they allowed him to. They felt like he was going to leave, so they traded him at the trade deadline. He goes and wins a World Series. You have the kerfuffle with Wilson Contreras and somebody from the New York media, or someone, Michael Kay, I think it was, giving Michael Kay in the New York media information about catchers calling the wrong pitches for certain pitchers. All of those things happen. Those are real things, and so. If you're Jordan Montgomery, would you want to sign up for any amount of money for that again? And those are questions that have to be asked, and it's probably not going to happen. But, Brooke, I wanted to talk about one other thing that really concerns me, and we talked about it earlier. We talked about this article on The Athletic, The Pitching Market Supply and Demand by Chad Jennings, and the words that came out of Mozeliak's mouth were a bit concerning to me. And that to me, it really tells me it's kind of a window into what I think the Cardinals offseason will look like. And it says, I think we're able to add 2 starters, but they're not going to be like the guy. That's going to be hard. The upper tier of this market is going to be uber competitive.
And we know that.
Do I have a white flag?
Yes. Is that waving the white flag?
That's what it sounds like to me.
Do you know what it sounds like, CD? Because if you remember about the strategic mistake, because that's something that John Mozeliak mentioned, is that it could be a strategic mistake going with 6 starters and not possibly addressing that last offseason, and we saw that it was a strategic mistake to go with the 6 starters and maybe not getting something else outside of the organization. They were obviously very reliant on Jack Flaherty possibly returning as an ace, or even Dakota Hudson maybe having a bigger role. They were very dependent on that. I feel like you might be, if that's what he's thinking, you're going to have that same mindset approach going into the season. And I also don't like the excuses, because everybody, you knew going into this offseason that everybody is looking for the top tier starting pitchers. Everybody is, essentially. Anybody who needs that is going to be vying for that. So that's not even a question of if that was going to happen or not, but it sounds like an excuse. And it reminds me of kind of the excuse of why maybe they didn't go get certain starting pitchers. You remember that? Where it was like, well, they ended up injured. You remember that?
Oh, yeah.
When he was discussing certain pitchers that they probably were pursuing. You don't know that was going to happen. I think that it's the excuses that are concerning, because you can't use it as sticker shock as a reason why you're not going out and getting something that is needed for this team to be successful.
Yeah, you definitely need some arms and some stars to help get this team over the hump, because that last year is not going to be acceptable again.
No.
It has to be a one and done type of situation for losing 91 games. So if you lose 90 again, I tell you, it's going to be anarchy.
It will be pitchforks everywhere.
Yep, that's Brooke. I'm Kerry. Coming up next, we got a little bit of rock and roll. That's next on the opening drive. Hey, it's Kerry, and I want to tell you about the good folks over at Window Nation. Listen, now is the best time to reach out to Window Nation. This month only, Window Nation is offering 0% interest for 5 years. That's 60 months interest-free, and you get 2 free windows with every 2 you buy. Now's the time to protect your family from the elements, lower your energy costs, and upgrade the look and feel of your home. Window Nation offers a comprehensive lifetime warranty on the entire window, including the glass. I do homes. I renovate homes. And so a couple of months ago, I had a squirrel get into my house. And the squirrel, little did I know, they tried to get out by chewing through windows. It would have been great to have this comprehensive lifetime warranty from Window Nation because I had to replace the entire window due to the squirrel trying to chew through it. Call the company that over 200,000 families have trusted with their home. Window Nation. Call 866-90-NATION or go online at windownation.com. That's 866-90-NATION or go online at windownation.com. And we have your opportunity to win 2 tickets to see the Eagles with special guest Steely Dan on February 6th at the Enterprise Center. Don't miss out on the long goodbye final tour with the Eagles. Tickets go on sale this Friday at 10 a.m. Find all the ticket details and find a bonus chance to win free tickets for the show right now at either 101ESPN.com or on your 101 mobile app. Rocc has a trivia question if you would like to win those Eagles tickets.
Yeah, we're going to go with texter number 38 to win these Eagles tickets. And it's pretty simple. Thank you very much. It's a pretty good number. And I didn't pick it because of you, but I like that. I like that it works that way.
Hey, you did.
He's been taking shots at us
It's
all
not a
day.
shot. It's a fact is not a shot. The reason why I picked 38 is because of the trivia question. Here's why. The
He
best.
said, not because of you.
Well, I'm just being
But
honest.
that's not a shot.
I guess
this song is about
I'm shocked that the hosts on the show want me to lie to the listeners. Seems like an odd. The hosts on the show want me to lie. You think I said something different than hosts? Did I miss the S and T?
Did I miss this?
My bad, Rala. The Eagles own the highest selling album in American history with 38 million copies. What was that number again, Carrie?
38.
38 million copies. The Eagles own the best-selling album in American history. What is the name of that album? Text number 38 wins tickets to the Eagles and Steely Dan.
Steely
You like that, Carrie?
I like that number. That's a good number.
But it's not for you,
No,
Carrie.
it's not.
Okay?
It's okay.
Don't think it's about you.
The hosts on this show.
That's what you guys are. You guys are hosts.
I'm glad that we're hosts.
Oh.
Not what the other word you called us.
By the way, the Eagles have 2 of the 3 highest selling albums in American history. Number 3 is Hotel California, so that means that's not the answer for number 1.
Oh, no.
Carrie, do you know what number 2 is?
Yeah, Carrie, do you know what number 2 is?
Michael Jackson's
Thriller.
Yeah, damn right, with 34.
Oh, yeah, I knew that.
All right.
I thought you were talking about the Eagles.
No.
I don't know the
I
Eagles.
thought that's what he was talking about.
No,
too.
that's what the trivia question is for the people, is what number 1 is.
Thriller. Well, when did that happen? Thriller had been number 1 for.
Thriller happened in 1982.
No, I mean, when did it change from Thriller being number 1 to.
Thriller was never number 1
Really?
because the Eagles album that is the highest grossing album of all time highest selling album of all time came out a few years before Michael Jackson's Thriller. So
Yeah.
Michael Jackson's apparently, it might have been maybe the highest grossing, but not the
think so.
most
It was
copies
something.
sold.
Okay.
So I remember it being top on a list, but apparently not top on just the amount of album sales total.
All right.
That's
So are you saying
unfortunately this
Hotel
Eagles
California is
Is
not the answer?
Hotel California is the 3rd highest
Well,
gross
you should
sold
tell
album
these people
in
on the
American
text
history.
line.
Number
Maybe.
3, not number 1. It's not if you're listing Hotel California, you are texting in the wrong answer. I'm trying to make this easier for you people.
Okay,
Google
so
helps.
just repeat the question, the trivia question, one more time.
The Eagles have an album that is the highest sold album by unit sale in American history at 38 million units. What album is it? It's not Hotel California. That is third. Hotel California sold 26 million units. This is not Hotel California.
Let me tell you this, Rocc.
This album sold 12 million more units.
You might as well just take the first person because we ain't going to get to 38.
Yeah. Lord almighty.
Rocc, what do you got? Rock and roll. What do you have?
There's some very angry textures right
Hotel
now about
California.
Well, you did this, Rocc.
He just said the question. They didn't hear it properly. I heard the question.
Thank you, Carrie.
I got your back.
I don't know.
Carrie?
No,
When
he's
you're
taking
right, you're
shots
right.
at me.
Brooke is not happy with my how I've been presenting things today.
You did kind of mislead the audience in your text poll.
So I put
It was kind of if we were in court, that would be leading.
Well,
Yes.
I don't see a judge. I don't see a
You don't
bailiff.
see me?
This ain't no courtroom.
Yeah, well, okay.
I put out a tweet earlier, or an X, however you want to call it. This morning, Carrie Davis and I were shocked, I tell you, to find out that the usually fun-loving Brooke Grimsley refuses to eat breakfast foods outside of the morning hours. So, breakfast for lunch and dinner, where do you fall? There were two options: waffles for dinner, ! Yay, or rigid breakfast timelines. Right now, rigid breakfast timelines is losing 85 to 15%. And you have an issue with my phrasing here?
Is the phrasing,
I said
wording.
I said fun. I called you fun-loving.
Hold on one second, because here's the problem.
I called you usually
One,
fun-loving.
Shocked. Okay. Two, the usually fun-loving. So you're insinuating to the people who are participating in this poll that I'm already not fun for the decision. And yes, it's a nice compliment. It's a backhanded compliment when you say usually fun-loving. And then last point, you also put in the poll waffles for dinner ! Which is exciting. Rigid breakfast timelines.
I was gonna put in
like
I hate
I'm
fun.
like in the military or something. And I'm no fun. And then
Hold on a second. You say that, and yet one of your reasonings for why you do this was because why? Your dad was a Marine. So don't act like, why are you using this like military verbiage?
But I'm saying you're making it sound not fun. And look, it's not rigid breakfast times. Like, have I dabbled in a pizza slice in the morning? Yes. Have I dabbled in a late night Waffle House session? Yes. But I'm just saying,
it's
for
not
my
your,
preference,
it's
not my preference. That's it.
I just have two questions. As I already asked you, you said if you were to eat chicken and waffles, you would eat that later in the day? Or you eat that for breakfast?
Because it's presented on breakfast menus.
Gotcha, okay.
Then it's a breakfast item.
I have
Because
one more question.
there's plenty of breakfast menus that have
Steak
chicken
and
and
potatoes?
waffles, and I love chicken and waffles.
Carrie, you're
Steak
close.
and eggs.
Thank
Steak
you. I
and
was gonna
eggs,
say,
that's on a breakfast menu, so
Okay.
you could consider that.
but what
Could
if
you
I
have?
what
If
if
you
I
it's
have
on a
steak and
breakfast
eggs,
menu, then
could
it
you have
goes.
steak and eggs at 6 p.m.?
I wouldn't personally do that.
Okay, I just wondering.
But now, if the egg is on the rice, because I do like steaks with a side of rice, and then you put some egg on there with some seaweed and soy sauce.
Okay. All right.
But it's different because that doesn't make it breakfast at that point.
I think it just matters.
Why are
when,
you looking at me like
what
that,
I
Rocc?
think, Brooke, is the time of day that you eat doesn't matter.
To me, it does. I don't know.
In terms
It
of
just,
what the actual meal is called.
like I said, I've dabbled. I've explored a little bit with some of these. I just have my preference of separating.
I respect
If it's on a breakfast menu, then it's a breakfast item.
All right. I can respect it.
I have to bring up one other thing, which was a few days ago, Adam Silver was caught up by TMZ. They had a question for him, and he had a quick answer for them.
Mr. Silver, how are you? Tell us all about Kim K and the NBA and this Skims collaboration. How did it come about?
It came about because a guy named Casey Wasserman connected me to Kim and her partner Jens, and although I'm not going to show you, I'm wearing them right now.
No way. Okay, so are they as comfortable as people say they are?
Absolutely. I strongly recommend them to everyone.
Was this a setup?
Okay, Rocc. All right, Rocc.
All I have to say is this, guys.
Although I'm not going to show you, I'm wearing them right now.
No way. Okay, so are they as comfortable as people say they are?
Absolutely. I strongly recommend them to everyone.
Oh my goodness, Rocc. That's wonderful. You sent us the picture of the box of your Skims yesterday, and you were excited about it.
And what did Brooke say in the group chat?
What did Brooke say? She said,
I said, I'm talking in third person.
Whether or not I had gotten the new Skims nipple bra.
Because there's a new Skims nipple bra.
I don't know anything. I don't know anything about any of this.
She has a nipple bra.
Why do I need to? I don't.
And that's what Rocc. And you know what? You need to go check out the Air Alliance, cams and see Rocc really showing off that new addition to his closet.
He was thrilled
He was
about
excited.
it. Now, I will say that. I don't know.
You can tell he's very thrilled about it.
I don't know how this works.
So soft.
I don't even know what that is. What are they?
They're underwear.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all they are.
All right. Cool.
She came out with, and then she's working with the NFL.
Because she has
She has more money.
She has Skims, which is her shapewear.
That doesn't.
And then she put out Hims, which are the Skims underwear for men.
Yeah, it doesn't.
And now she's putting out like t-shirts and like sweatpants with this very specific kind of fabric and feel to it that are so comfortable.
You got to clip this.
Yeah, right.
What was he doing? I couldn't see
I was
it.
going like this, but it was closer. But and to Brooke's point, she also put out a new thing where it's a bra, but it has synthetic fake nipples in there, so that if you want that look, and it's not cold
awesome,
outside, you can still pull it off. And frankly, I respect that.
And that's what you have.
That's awesome.
Yes, because obviously this studio is not cold enough. I need to make sure that when I really want to stand out on camera, Brooke, that I really I pop right out.
He just wants everybody to know he's really excited.
Yeah.
Without saying it.
Yeah, we were all excited to know about Skims. We are much better because of it right now.
The commissioner, not me. I don't know what you guys were talking
We are
about.
in a much better place than we were 5 minutes ago.
Was that an ad? It felt like that was like an ad. That felt really extremely set up.
TMZ caught up with the NBA commissioner. I thought I'd share. It's a business side in the second most popular league in the world. Am I not supposed to talk about that? God, you guys are crazy.
Yeah.
Hey, that's awesome.
You can add it to your Christmas list.
There you go. Tell Rocc and tweet out where to get him from.
I didn't open this door. Randy opened this door like a week ago, all right?
That's wonderful. Brooke,
I'm just closing. I'm just closing it.
Brooke, it has been an awesome day.
It has been.
How about that? How about that? How about that?
Rocc, thank you for your participation. Audio video engineer.
Carrie, did you have a good day?
I have had a great day.
Show us your face. We want to see your face. Who said that? You want to see my face?
Coming up next, we have the... Who's next?
BK and
I don't even know
Ferrario.
who's in.
BK and Ferrario are up next. Tim McCurgan is out for the Bloom Party, which means you get an extra hour of BK and Ferrario today. You get an extra hour of the opening drive with Randy Carricker tomorrow. And we'll have our usual suspects, Joey Vitale in the morning. But also, stay tuned. Tomorrow morning, we're going to be joined by Mizzou running back Cody Schrader, obviously coming off his record-setting game against... why am I blanking on the team they just beat? It
Tennessee.
was, in fact, Tennessee. I almost said LSU.
Forgot about that
was
too.
wrong. Tennessee. See, Brooke, I'm trying to be nice to you.
No, yeah.
So stay tuned tomorrow. Cody Schrader and Joey Vitale coming up on a 4-hour opening drive.
Coming up next, the BK and Ferrario show. That's next on the opening drive. On the 101 ESPN.
That's right.